Good for you. Are we not live yet then?
We are now.
Right now, mate.
All
Good
right,
evening,
we are
ladies and gents, and welcome back to GKP Live. Usual thing, guys. We'll be right back with you right after this.
After this.
Welcome back, guys. Terribly sorry about that. I tried to get up and going and running straight away as normal, but for some reason my amp has decided it's going to go for a pop and no longer works. So I couldn't get my normal sound coming through. So hence the reason why I've got a headset up. Good evening, Ricky. Good evening, Rick. Good evening, Daz. And good evening, Vince. How are you all doing? Good?
All good.
Yeah.
That was a very posh intro, mate, I must say.
Did you notice you spoke Forest wrong?
I noticed that. I've never noticed it before.
I've never noticed it before.
You spelled it with an I instead of an E.
That's gonna have to. Now you pointed it out, Rick. We'll have to redo it all over again.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Damn,
Yep.
It is as well.
It is.
It is literally. That's most unfortunate. Never mind. Right. Well, good evening, everyone. Hopefully, the rest of the show is going to be a little bit more entertaining than the beginning, where I ended up being late. How's everyone's week been then? Daz, yourself? How you been busy, mate? Good week?
Very hot.
Can you move
Lots-
it, please? She's thinking.
Hang on. We've got a situation. We've got a hamster that passed away. I've got to deal with it. I'll be back in a minute.
You see, you don't get that normally.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
You're very much
Thank
welcome.
you.
There you go.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Toffee Chris dropped off.
Ricky,
That's
you
not
didn't-
how it goes.
No,
Never
not
expected
either
this.
of us this evening, no.
Well,
Well, we might as well kick off the first one and get into it. Has anybody got, first of all, if anybody has any questions that they would like to ask this evening and ask the panel tonight, could you do us a huge favour and type it all out in capital letters? And
Well, it
that will stand out a little bit for myself so that we can put the questions forward.
no, he said Mum to do it instead.
Have you sorted it, Daz? Have you disposed of said
Yeah.
hamster?
Yeah, the crap you have to deal with.
That
think
was
this-
very, very quick burial, mate.
It was, yeah, over the fence. Drop kicked it.
Dear me.
Gosh.
Right.
No.
Well, one of his first questions that we've got this evening, which we might as well get straight into a couple of questions, is from Paula Chilton. Any advice on bog fillers, please? Do's and don'ts, benefits and negatives, if any.
Who
Where you
wants to
going with
start with that one then? Shall I go for it?
Go for
Go
it.
on,
Yeah,
then.
you go
please
for it,
feel
Ricky.
free, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there is pros and cons. I suppose the issue is getting the size of a bog filter to make it effective. I think that's where a lot of problems are going to lie. I don't think most gardens have the capacity to build one big enough for it to remove the level of nitrate and stuff people would want to. So I think ultimately that's the aim of it. That's what we're looking for. So I think that's an issue. When they're smaller, I think you've got the issue there, potentially what kind of water you're passing through it, because they can become an anaerobic nightmare if you get that bit wrong as well and just have it collecting waste, which is going to cause you a hell of a lot of problems if you let that one sort of go missing. So yeah, I don't really see, other than that negative, a downside to having one. I just ultimately would question why. If you want it as a nice feature in your garden, then sort of fair play. But as for any other bit, I just don't. It depends what plants you're putting in as well. You know you've got to get the right plants. A lot of the stuff, obviously, no good in none of the plants are much good in winter. But you water hyacinths and lettuce. I'm not even sure if they've been allowed back into country yet. One of you guys might tell me more. Been banned for ages, but those kind of big rooted, hungry nitrate searching roots were always the better stuff when you can have it. But again, they take up some space and getting this kind of surface area, those you need for it to do its job. For me personally, yeah, I think from a practicality perspective, probably a waste of time in all reality. But if you want something to look nice, then yeah, go for it.
I do. In the States, they use them a heck of a lot, don't they? They have a lot of them over in the United States where they use these great big plastic blocks, and they seem to make some kind of sub section that separates most of the muck and crap out of it, and then
like
through a
gravel
box
filter,
filter and
isn't
then returns.
They call them regeneration plants, but
That's
they're not. Yeah, they're just like it's like a spider filter, but stuck on the side of your pond. Just traps everything. Plants do, right? We use them more for hydroponic wise, so growing tomatoes, chilies, where you're growing something fast, you crop it, and then they are useful, but they're nothing like as useful. Oh, that Crafty's in as well.
I'm done.
Can't get rid of him. It's like a bad smell, isn't it?
Fucking hell, mate. You're in my territory now, man.
You're
That
not wrong there,
sounds like a
Ricky.
bad smell.
Fucking hell, that's on the sun lounger again.
If you were going to,
I was going to say to that though, Ricky, the fact that I've actually been round Rick's facility numerous times, and there are numerous filters on the site that are predominantly for growing fish on. And if you see half of the vegetation that comes out the top of these filters that are just basic trickle towers, and that they've actually become part of the filtration as well. And they work absolutely perfectly.
Yeah, don't doubt it, mate. You would get that, but I'm talking if you actually looked at what they actually did, if you was analysing it. I think most people's thinking, I'll get rid of that, I'll get rid of all my nitrates and everything. It's just, you'll be producing them far quicker than they're removing them, and you've only got it really for half a year. You're not going to have it the full 12 months round. But yeah, I agree. Useful. There's no say other than making sure you're not trapping anaerobic debris. If you create that kind of filter in the wrong way, then there's no downsides to it. I just think it's managing. That's what I'm always about. It's managing people's expectations and thinking, I have a little, meter by a meter tank with some plants in it. That'll get rid of my nitrate. It's not going to happen.
That's what the most people, when they seem to make them, they make them on too small a scale, don't they? They think they're going to be able to do it with a small cube or a small rectangular box for it all just to filter through, which is literally going to do next to nothing. You might as well just have plants planted in your pond to take it out, because it's just as effective if you're only having it on a smaller scale.
Yeah, plants only take it out though. You need plants that you can cut back. So watercress. Yeah, so tomatoes are amazing for it. You can harvest the crap out of them, and they grow like crazy. And that's most of ours around the farm, Vince. To be fair, we're not planting them. They are wild growing stuff. It's
I know. But when you look at, you haven't got it this year in Munger Tunnel, but usually you've got that whole bank down that left-hand side that is full of chili plants, and that in effect becomes part of your filter in that tunnel.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what's there, 60 2-foot by 2-foot containers is a monstrous amount of growth along there, and they're harvested and cut back, and they do make, when you grow them properly, they do make a big difference. But for someone like that in their pond, it's almost your pond's 10-foot by 10-foot. You need a 10-foot by 10-foot vegetable.
That's what I was going to say. Same thing. You pretty much, if to have an effective one, it needs to be as big as the pond effectively, doesn't it? To be able to do it.
Yeah. It's hydroponics. You need, the plants need as much as the fish need and the water needs. It's like an equal balance. You can't just have a 10,000 gallon pond with a little plant growing on the side, and it doesn't work. But and again, the plants, you need plants that are going to grow like crazy. You can just cut back and get rid of, and they just go mad. That can grow a nice, pretty arum lily. Yes, it will take as it grows, but then it dies off. It's just perpetual circle, as it were. It's not doing anything. It grows, uses a bit, it dies off. The roots will rot. You're not going anywhere. So. Yeah, to do properly is you grow fish in one pond and you use the same area almost to grow a crop hard, and then you'll get in that sort of balance.
I run a system like this back in day. It was actually when my dad had his retail shop, he also had an aquatic plant farm, which was a part of my childhood I want to forget. I don't know how it's managed to come back, this conversation. Growing bed is the shittest job ever. It really is. But I just remember we had this big, and it was a system like that, but it was a pond running off of a planted filter like that. But they were literally identical in size, and this was just full of everything. Tons, it must have been tons of water soldier, just absolute everything. It did, but you were never going to really feed it. This is it. So there's my take on it. Anyway, it's just one of them things again. If you want to do it, you're probably going to do it for decoration. It'll be a superficial touch as opposed to one that's actually going to perform and really do anything, unless you build it to the kind of scale Rick's talking about.
And I think if memory serves, Paula's pond is 22,000 gallons, is it?
That's a big vegetable.
It's one heck of a big pond. Yeah, Keith and Paula's pond build, That's one massive.
Yeah, that's a big pond.
So they'd have to have the remaining part of the whole of the garden to be a bog filter, to be anything effective for that literage of water.
Yeah, even the word bog filter is kind of wrong. You want the plants growing in basically in a filter. We grow the plants in filter media, so there's no soil involved. It is literally a biological filter with plants growing in it that you can just pull them out, shake the filter off, almost throw them away so the next one grows, and you're just taking stuff away whilst giving, it's beneficial, but it's not something you can do in a normal environment. Your garden ponds.
10,000 gallons, Skeggy says, sorry. 22,000 litres.
That'll run a whole tomato greenhouse, you know, monster. It's commercial. Doesn't work. Nice idea.
Nice idea, but not such a good one in the grand scheme of things. Right then, we're going for as next one. Will from Will's Coy's put treatments. Are we as hobbyists over treating the water stroke koi? I asked this as a fellow pond enthusiast looked at me like I had 4 heads when I showed him the routine and medication stroke treatments on a shelf. He's never changed his water, just sponges, etc. Cheers. Hope Rick subscribed to me. Which Rick?
I'm already
Really both of you. So do you think, as pond keepers, we overtreat and overanalyze those pond water?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
it's part and parcel, isn't it? You can't help but welfare of your fish, innit? People get too carried away. You know, they buy a microscope and find a trichina or a fluke, and next thing they're bombarding the pond.
Well, you'll get to this at the moment, Gav, aren't you? With flukes. You've tried every bloody treatment, and it seems like they're completely resilient to all of it.
Yeah. They kind of almost are, yeah. But
Flukes
the fact
in the
is, if the
ocean,
fish are
double
happy,
bastards.
if the fish are happy, bright, they're feeding, what you panicking for? That's what I don't get.
I'm not panicking. It's a butterfly.
Not generally you, Gaz. I'm not saying you.
Yeah, but in the grand scheme of things, for me, with what I've been struggling with the flukes, I mean, I must have trekked for them 10 times this year, and I can't get rid of them in such a small body of water. I'm already putting in more than what I should be. It should be absolutely spanking their ass, and it's not even touching them at all. And I do it and make sure that I hit them before the cycle, you know, so that I pick up the eggs. But it's still coming back and back. And I've got that one particular fish now, the butterfly koi, and like you said today, Rick, to give it a scrape and see if you can get inside the gill. When I did, man, god damn, there were fluke everywhere on it, absolutely tons. I didn't need to do any more scrapes, but I'm scraping other fish, and they're perfectly clean, nothing on them. But the butterfly,
well, if it's only on the butterfly koi, you know the answer to that one, don't you?
Here we go.
I'm kind of tempted, mate. It nearly went, I swear.
There's no wrong with butterflies.
Nothing right
Thank
with
you,
them either, Ricky. Come on, be honest.
Well, each to their own, innit? But I mean, at the end of the day,
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
want to see fish suffering, and it is. So again, it's going to be back in with fluke treatment. And as when I get my ass out of bed tomorrow morning, my pond bill starts. The pond bill's going to be bigger than what it is. It's going to cost me twice as much to do it. The joys. But yeah,
coming back to that original question, there's honestly so much to all of this. I think I spoke about at length over several different occasions, but I think one of the big issues here is that those 2 scenarios you described there, the pond that's had the same fish in it for 20 years, never been touched other than sticking hose pipe in, just topping up a bit of evaporation up, never really cleaned the filter. There's a lot happening there. When you actually break down and analyze that situation, it kind of makes sense because the stress events are so minimized compared to the way that people are generally conventionally keeping koi these days. Because if we look at how modern koi keepers are keeping, the level of complication, the amount of stress factors all piled on top are worlds apart from these guys who have had these ponds for 20 years untouched. That said, that pond that's been like that for 20 years, you couldn't just go and put a new fish in there and expect it all to be rosy. That'd be like dropping an atom bomb in. It would just probably wipe the whole population out. But from the other side of it, our ways of koi keeping, we look at like the flukes. And that scenario of occurring flukes, I think, is one of the most fascinating ones there is. And the 2 sides of it we've got is the amount of stress events we've actually got in our ponds these days from too much interference. And these stress events, flukes aren't just coming back because the flukes are coming back. If you look at the water temperatures, so right now, the summer that we've had has been shocking, absolutely shocking. And I mean, average pond temperatures that you guys might shed a bit more light. Is that my microphone doing that?
I'm just checking it now. I'll tell you in a second.
Not normally.
Blame Crafty.
Ain't me.
Not guilty.
Any good?
Carry on.
That's better.
Is Crafter.
Oh, there we go. Nice.
Fucking typical, isn't it?
Just turn your sound down a bit, Crafty.
So yeah, we've got all these different stress factors that we're looking at. And I think the biggest talking straight away is the like I say, the temperature band that we're keeping fish in. So if you're unheated, unfortunately, you are a victim right now keeping fish in a temperature band so far away from their peak optimal immune state. So at 25 degrees, their immune system is functioning at its absolute best in that koi. So every degree away from that 25 degrees, you've got a drop in immune performance straight away. And then you're also then in a temperature band where these parasites can truly thrive, because as the water gets warmer, a lot of the parasites, some of them's the temperature band in which they work in, at some points in our greenhouses, will get to a point where those parasites can't physically live because it's just outside of it. But most hobbyist ponds are not even getting close to that. Then we actually look at the fluctuations in the temperature. You know, I can see in the greenhouses a 1 to 2 degree fluctuation between nighttime in the morning. Never mind what's going on outside. You have a hot day, it doesn't sustain at night, you're losing 3 and 4 degrees, you're getting these massive swings in temperature. That's just playing havoc with their immune system. It's absolutely bonkers. And the biggest thing koi love is stability. Stability is their absolute everything. And they've just not got it with these unheated ponds, shit summer temperatures that we have in the UK. It's a mess. So straight away there, you've got a major stress event. Then we look at source water. Source water is horrendous. It's just the worst. And I don't think a lot of people are still treating it properly. You know, and depending how it's going in, you potentially got metal problems there sitting in the background. Right there is a huge unconsidered element to this. These toxic metals are nasty, and I'm seeing more and more test reports, not just water reports that you get because they are so far removed often from what will come out of your tap. But just straight away, and I just mentioned this on my like, we've got iron at the maximum fish safe level. I've got 4 water reports sat on my desk from 4 different areas of the country, all with iron at the maximum end of the fish safe level, which is okay. It's at that level. The issue is then all these other elements that were below fish safe values, i.e. a little bit of zinc, a little bit of copper, something like that, that are sat in a good band, all of a sudden they come into play because we don't know the true fish safe values when more than one metal's present. So you've got all this fizzing around in your water, potentially, you know, traces of chlorine, chloramine for those that aren't checking it. There's a whole, you know, load of stress factors as well. Then we get round to the next bit. You know, Mr. I've had my pond for 20 years and it's been fine. Has never put a new fish in all them 20 years. Well, new fish are one of the biggest stress factors, bar none, in a pond environment. You know, we see it all the time in mixing fish, fully quarantined, really well settled batches of fish. You put 2 lots together, all of a sudden shit kicks off. You know, not only that, the sheer stress of moving a fish, catching it. You know, this is why dealers, I will support any dealer, you know, that will get slated for, you know, maybe you guys receiving a box of fish, beer online, you've took it out of the box, you scraped it, you found a couple of flukes. Because do you know how hard it is to truly eliminate that because of all the stress involved? You know, that whole process before, you know, dealers have got literally fish being netted every day, ultimate stress event. You know, every day it's just there, and you get these reoccurrence. Even the process today, you know. So we've been packing fish, we've had to catch them up. They've been in a holding net for 3 days while they've been starved. Prior to this, all scrapes are done. We make sure everything's clear. We're in a holding net. Then we have to do it safely. We have to prepare fresh packing water. We won't use pond water, so we have to make sure that's all treated. But just the sheer process of going from the pond water to that fresh water and the adjustment it's going to have to make in its body is a stress factor. It's then put on overnight courier. It gets to you. You're then going to take it out that bag. There'll be a little bit of pollution in there as well. Regardless of the preparation, there always is. Then you're going to put it into your pond, and then that's another change in water that its body's then got to adjust to. And all the time these adjustments are happening, that fish becomes volatile. It's open for something going wrong, and that's when your parasites crop up. So you think of all this stuff, and it's just constant. You know, how many people are introducing new fish once every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that, in there catching whatever it is. And then I think, yeah, we get into this cycle where you're medicating that much, the over medication. And then this is where the manufacturers are going to get a blast, because the over medication with medications that just aren't up to the job. These things aren't strong enough, you know, guys. You're talking about you're going over that dose. Probably trust me, you're probably going nowhere near.
Yeah. I'm not going over stupid levels, but I've gone more. Yeah, you're right. I'm not. But
it's
I know
never
that
fully
I could
doing
go.
the job. I always had this
exactly.
argument. I've seen breeders treat fish, right? And these guys, you think of it at times. I still remember now at harvest time, what a lot of the breeders do, they'll have the, before they put the fish into the fish houses, they'll almost quarantine them. So they put the fish in just vats outside with an air stone. And this isn't just any, I'm talking absolute specimen fish, just outside fish house in, I say fresh, underground spring water, pump, air stone in. That's where these are living for the next 3, 4, 5 days. And I'll never forget Fujo says, what medication do you run them on? And he listed 3 or 4 different medications out to me. I'm thinking, shit, they're going to be in there for like 3 weeks. This is mental. I said, over what time spent? Oh, we put it all in together. I was just like, what the fuck? There's no way. Yeah, we just chuck it all in together, then medicated and into the fish house. You know, and it's just stuff. PP. Some of the guys don't even measure PP into the pond. They're literally just doing it by eye till the colour looks kind of right. And you see the fish within an hour or so rocking on the surface. I've been at, I can't remember if it was Marido or Nogami. These were serious fish, 78 metre fish on the top, looking like you could just push them over. It's crazy. Then they're at that point, they neutralise it, drain the pond off because they can, because they've got spring water on tap, fill that pond back up. Crazy. And then you get into the other realms again, where I think even preparation for medication. So over medicating comes from them not preparing a pond properly for it. So, you know, how many people before using a medication are fully cleaning that pond as much as they can, as in filters really stripped down, decent water change, lowering your content so that your medication is not spending all its time being burnt out by the organics in the water. So many different things for me you throw into this mix, and it's a bit of a shitstorm, to be honest.
But away from the parasite side, though, Ricky, I can understand exactly what you're saying there, because I've actually seen it firsthand at New Forest a few months back. Myself and Rick, we went through a pool of fish that he bought from you.
Yeah.
And the ones he wanted to grow on, he put into another pool that had the kahaku he had off of you, Drafty, from the grow out event.
Just keep it in the
and
family.
honest to God, within putting those fish in there with that single fish that was bigger, it instantly changed how they responded.
Yeah.
And, you know, straight after sorting them out, Rick's gone back through to the ones that we put back into the same body of water, bosh food in, straight up, no problems. Goes back through to the other pool, chucks food in, wouldn't even entertain it.
Yeah.
Just because there was that one different fish in that body of water.
And I say all this, the big one I miss out as well, which is rarely considered, is viral illness. That's just a category that it's like witchcraft. You know, there's so many groups of different viruses. Just as we get in humans, you know, we just go, it's common cold. But how many of the symptoms of a common cold relate to so many different things? That even doctors at the time, you'll go to see your GP, they'll just go, you've got a virus. You've got a virus. Then they can't even tell you anymore. We see the symptoms in the fish because the symptoms of viral illness slowly all relate towards that of sleeping disease and CEV. The difference is sleeping disease and CEV, when they get that, at the worst case, you're obviously going to completely wipe them out. Brutal. But then you've got more diluted strains of all these little viruses, and this is what you can be constantly adding into your pond, because it all depends what that fish has been exposed to what it has immunity to.
Yeah.
Again, that pond that's 20 years, no fish introduced, whatever's been in there, they've all got that immunity to. They're all settled. They're all very robust and resilient against it. That's why you can't just throw that new fish in, because in that scenario, one of that, either the new fish or the old fish, something there is going to kick off, and one of those two groups is going to suffer big time. And that's the problem, because something there will not have immunity to something kicking around in that pond. You see it with bacterial disease, you see it with all kinds of stuff. You know, you can have a pond with a mild, you know, it might be a really high bacteria count in the water, but your fish aren't exhibiting any symptoms yet. And that's because their immune system is obviously, they're slowly, as the bacteria levels build, their immune system building to try and fight off that pathogen pressure. What happens when you go along to your dealer, credible dealer, all the fish are nice and healthy. All of a sudden you pop that fish in your pond, 2 weeks later, you've got a bacterial problem, actually signs kicking off, you know, and it's the new fish that comes off worse first. Why is that? Exactly. That fish has come from an environment where there is no pathogen pressure. It's not had to develop any resistance to it or any immunity to it. You put it in there and it hits it like a fucking bullet train at full speed. And then bang, that fish bursts out, and then everything kicks off from there.
What is the answer there, Ricky? I mean, can you never put a new fish into an established pond?
Yeah. It's just being aware of it and things you can do to sort of mitigate against it, you know. And it is, as much as I think Crafty will kill me saying this, and Rick, because obviously we rely on selling new fish all the time. We need to. But the ideal scenario is you would introduce, say, if you're doing it, a batch once or twice a year. And then you need to be of the mindset of being, right, now I need to be on high alert because shit's likely going to kick off here. And what do I need to be on high alert for? What can I do to mitigate? Do I need to add some salt in? Salt will always help, because one of the big problems that comes from the stress is a loss in osmotic regulation. And that's when a lot of problems can happen, because when that starts to fail, you just got everything else failing after it. That fish starts to dehydrate, it just becomes a predator for the likes of Costia and stuff like that to emerge and go crazy. So, you know, you can add salt. Loads of people, I don't care. The argument about salt, to me, is no argument. It's one of the most useful tools, certainly in fish farming. You know, not more at hobbyist level, it dilutes to a point where it's not super necessary because the stress isn't as severe. But at our end of things, importing, breeding, mass fish movements from a mud pond to a concrete pond, for example, the stress is so severe, the first thing that goes off most of the time is osmotic regulation, and everything else is just a free-for-all. So we heavily rely on salt for that. Again, temperature always helps. This is the hardest thing, you know, because it's the biggest hack to successful koi keeping is having the water temperature. And unfortunately, we're just not in a world at the minute where it's that viable for everybody to have 24, 25 degrees when you need it. But having heat is useful as a backup. Even I think now is them kind of like cloverleaf eaters, or the ones that are swimming pools you can pick up that are less than 100 quid. You can fit one of them in line and just have it there as a backup. So if you ever introduce a fish and problems start, it's easy enough. Right, what can I do? If I just increase temperature a bit, I'll get more of an immune response, and that alone will probably sort it. Or you add the heat and the salt, party time, you fixed your problem.
Magic bullet.
Flipping that on its head a little bit, though, Ricky.
Yeah.
Do you not think that the koi that are being produced by people like Ricky, Mark at Cuttlebrook, Adam Beyer, do you not think that those fish that are being bred over here are more resilient to our temperature swings and the water makeup?
Only in the sense, again, I don't know how, Rick, I think it all down to how they're kept, not necessarily, you know, what they're done. So if we take my Dainichi fish, for example, I actually got caught out with this a bit. The first winter, I can't remember when, after I'd finished growing them on, and they didn't like winter. As soon as a pond kind of, even I say winter, they didn't like kind of 15, 16 degree water. And that makes sense, because if you look at the journey of those fish, they would have been spawned when the water was mid-20s, released into a mud pond at mid-20s, gone through that whole summer up to probably 27, 28 degrees, harvested, put on the heat, kept on the heat, shipped to me, straight back into the heat for quarantine, on the heat then because I'm growing them all through the summer. So the first time they felt 15, 16 degrees was that first winter period at Koi Wholesale when they're Nisai. You know, and that can have an effect for sure. Again, I don't know. Rick's fish are not going to be subject. I don't know how long they spend inside or what you do, mate, to be fair, but likely they'll probably feel a bit of cold along the way, I should imagine.
We do them. That's the thing. So the varieties of koi are different. So we can expose Chagoi, Ogon, Shisui to a cold winter.
Yeah.
All the Gosanki we can't expose to below 15 degrees.
Yeah.
So from what Vince is saying, some of our fish may be hardier. Other of our fish won't have experienced those lower, what we call lower temperatures. Just, still heated temperatures for most people. They're just, especially the first when they, young tosa, they hate it, and that the hard way. You just can't overwinter decent quality Sanki, Haku, Showa, Shiratsuri in anything but controlled conditions. Because
it'd be no different, like with meeting a virus for the first time. You those fish get exposed to CEV, they're gonna roll like any other. The process is the same. It's why it's important in modern fish raising that fish are exposed to CEV as fast as they can be, to be honest, because it's for me probably one of the biggest threats out there to any young fish, and certainly as they get older, because like with a lot of viruses, as CEV, when they don't have immunity and it hits them later in life, a little bit like COVID did with older people, it hits them 10 times harder, and it can be harder for them to recover from it properly.
But the problem with that is all temperature related, isn't it? So it's not even an issue. If you expose them to them and heat them up, you won't lose a fish. You're in a situation where you can't heat them up. Like I say, all of probably 70% of our production on the farm will, within a week, will be fine, even at cold conditions.
Yeah.
Whatever. But yeah, those Gosanki varieties, they need extra care because they won't.
Delicate, aren't they?
And that's just the way it's got to be.
Why is that, though?
Sleeping sickness. So you have to rear the fish differently because the genetic strength of some varieties is much, much stronger than others. So, and even the growing show I did with you guys, I purposely picked a metallic variety. The Yamantiki are pretty bulletproof. So it didn't matter what everyone did with them. Generally, they should have been fine. But if I'd done that with some of our little Sankis or Kahakus, it would have been interesting.
Is that because the genetic gene pool is weaker in the Gosanki than
they're more inbred? They've been
Chance.
more inbred for more generations to create the quality, but unfortunately, a lot of that comes back down to they're weaker. As in your top end pedigree dogs, your top end anything. They are.
Yeah. So, as in producing the perfect Gosanki varieties, we weakened them so much that they're problematic in other areas.
Yeah, 100%. They won't tolerate 5-10 degree water. They don't like that. They will as they get older and get exposed to it and acclimatize. But you try and do it with 1,000 tozai, and they all just hit it together, and it's. But you can, like Ricky said, you can just stick them in a tank at 25 degrees, and they'll be buzzing and feeding. You cool them down to 10 degrees, and they're all lead on the bottom, turning pink, hating life to a point where so that's just their genetic strengths, weaknesses, whatever. That's just part of it.
What's this question that my boys?
I was just going to say we had this question come up last week. When does a tosai officially become Nisai? Is it in the spring of the following year after its birth, or is it later in life, or a certain, that's what we were asked, and we didn't. I always thought, like, if a fry hatched in spring, come the following spring, that would make it a tosai.
No.
And then the following spring, it would become a Nisai.
This is obviously the Japanese love to make everything complicated.
Don't they just?
Interestingly, tosai is not. It doesn't relate to any age in Japan. So if you're just having a general conversation, that's not a word that will relate to normal Japanese people, because the actual 1 year old is Isai. Just like then you fit into the Isai, Nisai, Sansai, Yonsai. It's actually the numbers with the Sai bit is years. So Isai 1 year, Nisai 2 years. So Tosai, they link the system to summers, which is where it obviously turns into a bit of a ball ache. So your Tosai is like your first summer. But then after that, they just drop back into it being Nisai at 2 years old. But that happens in autumn. So this year's Nisai, this is where it's just a joke. This year's Nisai technically, you wouldn't call a child, 2 years old if they're 18 months old.
Yeah.
But in Japan, that's perfectly acceptable. So everything getting harvested in October. Basically, as things happen, regardless of what all the history is behind it, come October, what was Tosai, you're even confusing me now. I'm trying to keep pace with it in my head. What Tosai, is now 18 months old. It's at Nisai. And that's what they are, year and a half old. That is then classed as Nisai, and obviously carries through then till the next October when they'll class it as Sansai at 2.5 years old.
But that's due to when they harvest the fish, isn't it? At the end of the day, because they're not selling the fish halfway through the summer. That's just not what a farmer's going to do.
Yeah. Then they throw all these other words out. So you got like now you might or might not be the term akinisai. Akinisai is what they might start calling a fish. Sort of when they go into the mud pond, say June, between the June and October period, people will start calling them akinisai, which means autumn nisai.
I've heard Alan Pryor use that term.
It's just, it's just bonkers. So what I prefer to do, to be honest with you, is forget all that and just focus. You want to focus on the age in months, really, to get a true gauge of where the fish is actually at.
I think the problem for most people where it goes grey is people now are selling Tosai from last year. So they're a year and 3 or 4 months old.
Yes.
But those same fish, if you bought from Japan in 6 weeks' time, are Nisai.
Yes.
And that confuses the hell out of everyone because it's different marketing. At the end of the day, those fish you're selling at 18 months really are Nisai. But they're not Nisai that have been grown in Japan to that point. So that's where I think this is where everyone gets confused.
If you translate that directly, you're saying at Nisai it's 2 years old. Because if you were saying this is my child, it's 2 years old, that is the exact Japanese word you would use. Tosai doesn't exist.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is obviously
what about the jumbo Tosai then? What age is a jumbo Tosai, or are those being changed for marketing and sales? And a jumbo Tosai just comes from a certain specific size bred fish.
It's marketing, guys.
The problem is obviously a farm like us at the moment. We obviously sell our Tosai at the minute are all 4 months old. They're all fish that are less than a year old, and the fish from last year we call Nisai because obviously they're now the year older class. And obviously, they're the same fish that some people will be selling as Tosai, although they're over a year old now, and we're selling as Nisai because our Tosai are already out in the ponds, as young fish from this year's spawnings. And I think at the end of the day, it's like you say, if you turn around and say this fish is 14 months and it's Tosai, and we're selling it at 30 centimeters, I don't think there isn't a confusion. I think the problem is people think if they're buying a jumbo Tosai at 30 centimeters, but the reality it's not 30 centimeters last.
Buying this side, just
X amount of time later, you get that strange crossover period where people think you're trying to rip them off. A dealer's trying to sell a fish that's older than they're stating, because you'll get that crossover period. This autumn, you'll have a period where you're selling fish that are 18 months old and 6 months old, both being called Tosai.
Yeah.
And that's just one of the. Yeah, I mean, if it stated this fish was born in June 2022, there's no confusion. It is this old.
That's what you need. If you want true clarity, you just need to know the age in months.
Agree,
and then that's the way I gauge it. But just coming back to your jumbo Tosai, all that. What we got now: jumbo Tosai, super jumbo Tosai, you name it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Keep chucking superlatives at them, but they, to be honest, again, I don't like people paying attention to all this stuff. It's there, and you can use it as a guide to where things are at. But let's not forget, jumbo Tosai when I started going to Japan 20 odd years ago. A jumbo Tosai was 20 to 25 cm. That back then that was like, holy shit, look what we're doing. Now real jumbo Tosai, you're 45, 50 cm. Prior to going into mud pond, and that's not just a one-off. That's pretty standard at a Momotaro, Sakai, Dainichi. They're all around that time. But again, what does that truly mean for a fish? Because when them fish go into a mud pond, they're only probably likely going to gain 5 to 10 cm top. When most of the mud pond developing body mass, that's what those jumbo tosi will do. But when you release those 20 to 25 cm tosi, like the ones we had in the NND mud pond challenge the year before last, they were actually smaller, so 15 to 20. They get harvested at 40 to 45 cm, to 48 the biggest. So the actual growth in centimeters on those smaller fish is bigger in the mud pond, you see. So that growing, ultimately, you could, if you did it right, catch it up in the end. So
they do balance out there, really, don't they? At the end of the day, jumbo tosi, we've had loads from Momotaro, Sakai, that they're massive when they're young and they are growing well.
Yes.
But it's the conditions they've been kept in. It's an environmental thing. The genetics of their siblings that weren't pushed as hard, they still basically make the same 5-6 year old fish down the line.
That's well said, Rick, because that is exactly what it is. That it's at that point when the actual genetic factor of the fish and the potential of the fish is in its bone structure, what it's got going on will decide if that's that fish that's going to be trumped, then like a true jumbo specimen fish and not one that's going to fade off at 80-85 cm. That's then it's the individual characteristics and let's say the genetic. If that lineage is limited to 80-85 cm, and I've seen this, NND Showa are a prime example because I've had so many examples myself and with clients now where they race up Yonsai, you're talking 75 cm. I could almost guarantee it for you. If it's raised at NND, I could almost say, having seen the fish, that'll be 75 cm at harvest, obviously, unless something really goes wrong in the summer or whatever. And then, so that's the average growth is sort of like 50, 55 Nisai, 65 Sansai, 75 Yonsai. All of a sudden then you're thinking, yeah, that could go 80, 82 that next season. And all of a sudden it does 79, struggles to touch 80. And after that, it's as good as stopped. And I've seen it time and time and time again. That is that fish hitting its genetic limit in regards to what it can do at that point. So they've raced up 5 years old, then it stopped. So
and then it just plateaus, and you might get for the next 10 years of its life a couple of cm if you're lucky.
And until the breeder obviously changes something. So it might be that, eventually they get a fish from their own lineage or another separate spawning that they've got that goes beyond, or a female that comes from that spawning that all of a sudden is got a different setup and grows to 85 or beyond. That's then when they're looking at a potential new parent, because that's the fish they know has then got a stronger genetic growth gene. So they're going to take that fish and probably make that the base of the lineage going forwards.
Yeah. Well, that just made it a hell of a lot more confusing. Did it?
It's not confusing.
Well, it's quite mind-blowing, isn't it, really? What they're achieving, what they're doing, and then the sizes and the knee size and the toe size and all the rest of it. I mean, you just find out that toe size doesn't exist. It's just a marketing. Cool.
But at the end of the day, it's one of those things. If you grow fish, if fish are growing very quickly and then you use them as parents, and then you find out they stop at a certain size, then you've created that genetic sort of blueprint that they grow really fast and then stop. And that's just something. And then you have to, like you say, you go to another farm where you get another bloodline that's got a different genetic setup. But the problem, obviously, we found, but size isn't. Well, size.
Just before I shoot, because it ties in perfectly to this. This was a prime example. So I'll use NND again because this is where I obviously studied it all. So Marusho Sankey is the Sankey lineage at NND, created by Makoto. Makoto was the managing director. It was his dad created the Marusho Sankey. The Marusho Sankey was built off the Sudazo bloodline back in the day. So he pretty much took that lineage and started producing from Sudazo, which produced phenomenal, the famed sort of blue sumi, crazy stuff. And these were great. Longevity, absolute top quality. But what happened is these would not grow. 65, 70 would be where they cap. You get the odd one that might push 75. Yeah, and at the same time, Umo Showa were good growers all along. But again, there was size limitations, and these two guys have been doing the same thing year in, year out as individual entities. They set NND up as a combined venture and said, right, now we need to start growing jumbo. So all they did in the first year was took the same lineages, but changed the techniques. So rather than raising Tosai up to sort of 20-25 cm, they said, right, we're going to make jumbo Tosai. And they did it just through changing techniques, bigger ponds, better facilities, better food. They all of a sudden were pumping Tosai at 40 cm, which was the same size as the Nisai were the previous year. So they've extracted all that extra out of them, put them fish in the ponds again, lower stocking levels, different plan in mind, harvested them as big Nisai, 50, 55 cm, crazy things. The problem was they weren't built for it. They changed the technique, but the fish wasn't built for it. So this was all just technique doing this, not genetics. These fish, I remember seeing it, they looked uncomfortable. I'm talking borderline looking like my Tamasaba. It was rough.
And they're fucking ugly.
It was rough.
I'm sorry. They are fucking ugly.
It went on. You're insulting me now, Vince. That's just not good. But yeah, this went on for a couple of years, and in the end, I said to him, I says, look, these just don't look right. And then it was 2009. I was working over there in the summer, and we did a Sankey spawning. And this Sankey female, we looked, I put it in the net. I said, where's this from? It just looked completely different. It had this huge jackhammer head, mouth, completely different body setup. He went, my own breeding. And I looked at him. I went, you're full of shit. So it weren't until the following, I think it was just after autumn, in the winter, I was there. I said, where's that Sankey from? It was a Sakai Sankey. Yeah, and instantly, and this was the profound impact of this, the next year's spawning just completely changed it. It sort of leveled the weight curve out. So all of a sudden, they looked like you could just keep chucking food at them as opposed to give them a break. They look like they're going to explode. And that's just changing genetics. And that's your genetics versus your raising environment.
I've got a quick one for you. Just another on a similar sort of line again of the Tosai, Nisai, and everything, and the jumbos. What about all this stuff that comes in and we get told as Tatigoi?
Not fucking balls, my piss, that does.
You can't drop that one on me. I need to go for my dinner, mate.
Just touch on it quickly. I mean, Tatigoi, are Tatigoi not supposed to be the best of the very best that they've got?
It's just another word, Gaz. Yeah, it's another breeder's bit of jargon that they use. Basically, it's the fish they've decided to keep as their best potential fish for the next season. An easy way to conceptualize it is, those Tatigoi in June, those Tosai Tatigoi in June, 90% of them will no longer be Tatigoi by October.
No, they're ready for market then.
Because at that point is selling them.
Yeah, so it's again just the sales. They're not Tatigoi, because if they were the Tatigoi, if let's say for example, if Tatigoi exists, I know it does, but they would be keeping those fish to grow on to 4 and 5 years to make the very best of and make the best.
Well, some will be that, but all of a sudden at some point that's just not going to become that or realize its potential. When you really delve into it, there's you get a feeling for a fish, and it's sort of like, Tatigoi is in the true sense. You get a bunch of professionals stood around knowing if this fish is going to do it, this is going to take 7, 8, 9 years before this truly gets there. It's got that level of potential. It's got that level of quality in it for it to go that far.
But you're never going to walk away from the farm with that unless you've got some seriously deep pockets.
Oh yeah.
In all honesty,
most go to such extreme lengths to hide them anyway. So it's not a thing. But ultimately, when you boil it down, and why I'd never tell anybody to chase the word is often it's very misused. There's a couple of dealers in this country that seriously overuse it and seriously make my piss boil with it. I'm not kidding. It's shocking because it's just they use it in the sense of this fish has got some sumi to develop. That doesn't make it a Tatigoi, because 95% of fish that have sumi have got some sumi to develop. That's not what it's about. This is about a fish that we know is like, my God, look at the quality of that. This is going to take 5 years. We know that before it even gets close, and it's a rare, it's a one-off. You know, but other than that, when you boil it down, it's just a term a breeder uses of these are the fish I'm keeping for now, and then I'll reassess them again in the autumn. And at that point, only 10% of these will probably become tatigoi again until the next
and I'll
reassess.
So those ones will be then sold on as what was the tatigoi to us.
It's just like it's just like a farmer's term that they're using just to describe something. You know, it's like tatishta and the way tatishta is used as a word. Because at a farm, you've got one or the other. You've got tatigoi that they're keeping or tatishta that they're selling. But the only reason you'll often see a fish listed as tatishta is when it becomes to a certain part of the season, because every other fish that's not tatigoi is technically tatishta if you look at it through the terminology. Just the problem comes is that when it's used as a marketing gimmick, you hear it because the tatishta that are available at the last selections before the mud pond are generally deemed a slightly bit better quality because they've been kept as tatigoi for a much longer period than something's rejected early on. If you're following. So yeah, but again, it's just another word. Don't pay attention to the words, pay attention to what's in front of you as a fish and make your assessment from there. Forget all the words attached to it. Look at the fish, get the details. How old is this fish in months, or when was it spawned versus how old it is, and not is it tatigoi, is it just look at what's in front of you.
The same, but every farm, you'd think at the end of the day they produce 10 million fish, and at the end of the first summer they've got 1,000 fish they want to keep because they've got a bit of potential. But by the end of 3 years, 4 years, those fish have all been sold because they've all, apart from the odd one. So it's just a process. And you constantly, as a farm, grade, keep the best ones, sell the rest. Keep the best ones.
To really throw this, to give it some some perspective, the fish I imported, so take my batch of Dainichi Koraku I imported in October last year, that was still growing. They were tatishta that I bought. Big batch. They were very high level fish, but they were tatishta because the breeders decided to sell them. They're not tatigoi, they're tatishta. So if I take how that word is used, I could quite easily then say that the fish I'm keeping from those tatishta are my tatigoi.
Yeah,
well, the ones I'm choosing to keep, but it's just bollocks. It's just a word that it describes what they are to me, but what they are to you, it's irrelevant.
Yes.
So I'm tatishta, and Rick's the same. Obviously, it's what he keeps, he could call as tatigoi. Are those tatigoi at the level of the tatigoi at Dainichi? No, we know they're not. And that's
it's a meaning rather than it's actually a meaning rather than a brand.
It's just joy. When you hear us talking at the farm, shitfish, we tend to call them kippers or trouts. If you hear us talking, that comes up, so get rid of that old trout. Love to see that.
Become a scuba snack.
There we go, Fal. That said some light, but I am going to have to shoot now because I'm starving, and I bet the wife's there.
Thank you very much for joining us, Ricky. I appreciate it. It was an
absolute pleasure.
It's been awesome, bud.
Lovely to have you on again. If you ever feel like you want to come and join us, the link is always at the top of the chat. You can jump in and.
Never.
There is question after question after question here now, but we'll carry on. If you get 5 minutes and we're saying out wrong, just spam it in comments.
Not a problem. Anyway, cheers, folks.
Cheers, appreciate it, mate. Take care.
Next time.
Right then. That was interesting. Back to normal. Back to as it was. Right then. Well, we have got huggins and huggins and huggins of questions, but we've got one from Tom Scott. I'll just double check and make sure I haven't missed one from before. Sorry, Richard. So if everyone having more and more biological filtration than we've ever had before, surely this must make an effect on the dosing we use for treatments with the extra bioload.
Would depend on the treatment. But yeah, some treatments would react to biological stuff, some don't. So yeah, but generally it's your water volume that's key, and knowing all your water volume and including the filters and including everything. So yeah, that's more important.
We're getting into side up North Koi realms now. That boy measures his pipe diameter and everything.
So
The problem-
really with the bioload as such, the bioload is not really affected unless it's a biological treatment that you add.
No, something like potassium will be affected by the organic matter in a pond. So if you've got a very dirty pond or a pond with huge amounts of filtration, or like us or Ricky, where you've got huge amounts of fish in your water capacity, then the potassium has got a lot more stuff to oxidize and it won't work for as long. So your pond goes from purple to brown much faster. With more fish, the more filtration, the more organic matter. So we might dose our ponds different to how you dose your pond because of the sheer organic loading in our ponds to your pond. But if you're dealing with formalin, for example, then the dose that I'd use and you'd use for the same water would actually be much closer because it's not going to react. It doesn't react in the same way as that treatment. So yes, in one hand he's right, one hand, yeah. You can't.
Yeah.
So
Again, it'd be the relative bit, wouldn't it?
if you have a pond that has, say, a lot of plants in it, that will also affect the way PP acts in a pond, will it not?
Yeah, it was more organic. It's more organics in the pond. Anything in the pond. So if you've got a pond that is 8 foot by 8 foot, completely crystal clear water with no plants, nothing in there with 6 fish swimming around, and you put a dose of PP in there, it will stay purple for a long period. But if you do that in one of our ponds where we've got 400 fish in there, bacteria, it's completely different. Although the volume might be the same, the organic loading is completely different. And that's why, even like Rick was saying, they put it into our, it's going, put some more in, we'll keep it at that dose. And that's because the dose changes because of the organic matter in the pond. But the manufacturer can't turn around and say, well, you can dose this amount and keep adding it because people will kill their fish. So they have to say you add this amount for this amount of water. That's safe.
Yeah, otherwise,
Safe dose.
I mean, the method I've adopted for PP now is to give it a good dose, let all the organics get absorbed up, leave it, let it go through the whole cycle, back to nice clear water, and then hit it for a treatment the following day. So
a dose
the
again.
first dose is actually really clearing all the organic matter that's in there.
Yeah.
And the second dose, and you can really see the difference from when your PP water going from Ribena to dirty brown. That period is so much different on the second dose when you do it the following day.
Yeah, we see it all the time on the farm. We'll put a standard dose in a pond. Within 20 minutes, it's clear, and it's like it's gone.
Yeah.
So that ain't gonna do nothing, is it? So you then have to dose it again and again, a stronger dose until you get the desired effect.
So, say for example, Rick, in the Munger Pond, where the algae was clinging to your arms, if you were to drop PP into there, that would be gone in a matter of minutes, brown straight away.
Yeah, I think you probably have to quadruple dose that pond to even get a reaction. It just the organic load in that pond is off the scale. But if I wouldn't use it in there because the point is
but I'm just
you're going to be killing so much of that ecosystem I spent so much time creating.
Yeah.
You
just for an example though, but that more heavier load would be consumed.
It makes the treatment less effective, Gaz, because the treatment's having to work through an organic matter rather than concentrating on what you want to hit.
On the fish themselves.
Yeah, it just wouldn't. I don't think you could treble dose that, and I don't think it'd even turn purple.
Just go brown straight away.
See, that's the thing I'm wondering about whether or not I should do and hit mine with a PP before I next treat for flukes.
It's a good idea.
It scares the shit out of me, man. I don't want to get it wrong and kill out.
No, but if you go in with a standard bottle dose or packet dose on your pond, which is going to be safe, then use the fluke treatment the following day, you'll probably find that the fluke treatment will be more effective.
Yeah.
And other people use chloramine T to do the same thing, to clear some of the mucus and to expose the flukes to the treatment. But again, you're going into realms of mixing things, and it comes trial and error, and every pond's slightly different. And no one's going to turn around to you as a dealer and say, yeah, dose with this, dose with that, put that on, because some treatments don't react well together. formalin and potassium, you put those near each other and you're in a world of bad stuff. Don't put them together.
Tom Scott's got a question there. I'm looking to learn about feeding and how to maximize it throughout growing season. Do you guys know of any information out there that I can access to educate myself?
I think Ricky's got loads of stuff on koi wholesale.
Yeah, mate. I think he has touched base on that a hell of a lot, hasn't he? So yeah, mate, check out koi wholesale.
The short window
is Huggins and Huggins.
To grow for a season, if you're feeding 8 times a day, what they'll clear up in 5 to 10 minutes, then you're probably at your kind of maximum feed. And obviously, without changing temperatures and water quality and stock densities, but feed-wise, 8 times a day at what they'll consume in that 5 to 10 minute window is you're probably at their kind of top end. But you're not going to get the benefit of growing unless you've got the temperature, the water quality, the stock level, and the right food.
Yeah, there's a hell of a lot to take into account when you're growing a fish, especially if you're forcing growth. Yeah.
I just for argument's sake, yesterday, what you say, like, put it in, feed them, 5 minutes, gone. I was putting food in yesterday and the day before, and we were pushing like 22 degrees in pond max that I've had this warmer weather, but it was like 35 degrees outside. So I'm throwing food in, and I throw an handful in, pop it back into the shed, turn around, pick some up, come back out, gone. So I'll give you another one. There you go. Have another little one. Go off, tinker away, do something, come back, and they're all munching and chewing on the side of the pond. I'm thinking, what the fuck? You've just had to. So I sat there with a little handful of like pellets, and I just kept throwing a little bit and throwing a little bit. And after an hour of sitting there, just throwing a few on, they just literally kept coming back again and again and again and again, constantly. I could have sat there all day and done it. I don't think they would have stopped.
That's what our feeders do, isn't it? They put food in all day.
Well, yeah, I do, don't they? They're constantly.
But the problem is your fish won't utilise all that food unless the temperature's right, the water conditions are right. So you'll end up feeding them more than they'll utilise. So you'll create more waste than you'll get in growth.
Yeah.
But the question, the reason why I brought it up is we were talking, me and Mike said, is there a limit that a koi will eat, or will it just literally keep going?
They'll keep going. If they will literally, if the water, the problem is most ponds, they will keep going and produce so much ammonia that the water quality will then go to crap. So the next day and the day after, you'll have water quality issues, and they'll start basically poisoning themselves because they'll eat and eat and eat and eat. It's like having a Labrador. I mean, you imagine my dogs. If you could sit and feed my dogs all day, that's you.
Yeah, but it's physically impossible for us to do that, isn't it? I mean,
but that's where your auto feeder comes in, Gas. Your auto feeder, it doesn't constantly feed. You're feeding over a small window where your fish will eat, and then they come off the food. But they will be, if you put another load of food in, half hour later, they'll be up and eat it. Right. Yeah. But with the auto feeder, what you're allowing to do is you're putting a maximum amount of food in that's required to feed your fish to allow your fish to grow. So you're not over polluting your pond. And basically, you're not going to get the growth that you will if you're doing a handful in the morning, handful in the evening, because you're just not putting the nutrients into the fish. So by doing on a 2-hour cycle or a 3-hour cycle, what you're actually doing is you're controlling your filter. So the waste that's producing from your fish going through your filtration, it's really boosting the amount of beneficial bacteria that can grow in there to then nullify what it is that you're doing before you put your next feed in. So that's why it's important to stage your feeding throughout the day.
Yeah. It just surprised me. Like, I can sit a meal in front of me, and I went out for a 3-course meal over the week with me and my wife. And by the time we got to the end of the 3-course meal, I could not physically put the last bit in, because if I'd have ate the last piece of my pudding, I'd have been seeing the whole meal again. But you just did. So koi don't have that kind of shut up.
We don't have a stomach.
Keep going till
they don't have a stomach to fill. It goes in one end and out the other.
So it comes straight in. Well, yes, intestine. They don't have an actual stomach, but So they can literally just pile it in, and blast it out over side, and just keep doing that all day long, providing the water qualities are not going to be affected by it enough to be able to just.
If you was to constantly feed gas, you're going to change the dynamics of what happens with your fish anyway. You've got to allow the fish to be able to absorb the nutrients that's going through it to get the desired effect, mate. And that's where, like,
naturally in the wild, though, in a mud pond, for example, if they were not being artificially fed, they'd only get what they could find.
They graze constantly. They
graze constantly.
It's not as high. It's not high, is it? When you're looking at what's in a pellet, you're not getting that off a bit of an algae that's grazing on the side of a pond. You know, what's in the pellet is by far more nutrient. So,
but you'll see it in fishing lakes with carp, when there's a lot of bait going in, and they eat, and then you catch one, and it literally will be passing food, undigested food out the other end almost, because it's stuffing it in and coming out before it can actually do anything with it, and it's just basic pollution, isn't it? You're just paying for food that's not being utilized properly, that then is causing water quality issues. So you're paying to pollute your pond rather than grow your fish.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought I'd see. I'm not talking about chucking handfuls in. You know, I literally just like 6 or 7 pellets, and I thought I'll sit here and have a little bit of lunch and just chill out with them for a bit.
Yeah.
And there were a couple of mealworms, a few more mealworms, a couple of pellets, and they just never stopped. I thought, God damn, I ain't getting no more anyway. That's it, you're done. But it was surprising that I could keep them coming back to me. And then when I stopped feeding, they all come up round edge, like as if to say, "Where's the goddamn food?" It just blew my mind. When me and Mike were talking, saying, "I wonder if you could actually keep feeding them to the point of where they have just, started shitting pellets out," and pretty much they do. Then, you could
pretty much.
I mean, the other thing that
there you go, Mike.
Looking at Tom's question, if you're looking to maximise throughout your season, one of your biggest friends will be able to control your heat, because if you're unheated and you're trying to learn what goes on, if we used to use this summer as an example of trying to grow your fish, you're going to create yourself all kinds of issues without having the ability to keep your pond at a stable level, and grow it, because you can't put in the amount of food that you will if you're growing a fish, like a 2-hour cycle, for instance. You can't do that with the fluctuations in the temperature, especially some of the temperatures. I mean, my pond's been at 16 degrees at times, throughout this.
Oh, mate, yeah.
My
screen drop, stupid.
And then, when you look back at the BKKS, it dropped down to 9 degrees during that show. So that's supposed to be in the start of the summer. So when you look at the fluctuations in what you're doing, you couldn't even grow. You couldn't even feed you couldn't even feed growth food on the temperatures that you're seeing at the moment, because you really should be around 20, 22 if you're looking at Saki's growth diet, what he says on the back. Although you get some good results with 18, but to get the maximum, you've got to be at the right temperatures.
Well said.
So it's always the same thing: temperature, quality of food, quality of feed, and the amount of feed that you're putting in. On an average, you're saying 8 times a day at the right temperature with the right quality of food.
There's loads to chew on, man.
There's so much. It's an art form. It really is. And obviously, we do it simplistic. Like I say, we'll harvest a pond, take half the weight of the fish out, and continue feeding exactly the same amount of food.
Yeah, that's
half the left. Well, because the filtration or whatever can only cope with that amount of food. So by removing half the fish, we're doubling the amount of food for the fish that left, and then 4 weeks later we'll do it again and again. So the food, we're pushing the filters to their maximum, but then reducing the stock density to get the growth of the fish that we want to get growing.
Yeah,
that's not what you do that. But it's just
what you see at Ricky's pond. So you launch when Ricky talks about growing on the certain stock that he brings in, he will often say he's not happy with the growth potential that's coming out of some of his ponds, and that is merely down to the stocking levels that he has. Where on a previous stock he could do really well, next ones that go in, it acts completely different. So there's so many different variables, and you've really got a trial and error A lot of it, believe it or not, especially when you only got the luxury of one pond. You know.
Yeah, getting proper growth there's other things that play a part. If you haven't got enough fish, you won't get the growth. If you've got too many fish, you won't get the growth. So that's why we start high numbers, grow them. As soon as that growth plateaus, half them growth, and then they'll grow again. Plateaus, half them. Because if you haven't got the competition, they're not as
the competition for the feed makes them more aggressive to get it.
They feel safer. There's loads of them fighting for the food, and it's just a reaction. They just feed and feed, because if they don't, someone else will get it. So you get that, but then suddenly comes a point where you can't put enough food in for all of them to grow properly. So you take some away, keep the same amount of food, and you keep that competition. And obviously, as they grow, it's a constant balancing.
That's cool. So there you go, Daz.
You often get people come in and buy 2 koi for their new pond, and then they'll come back a week later saying, "I haven't seen my fish," and I'm like, "What do you mean?" He said, "Oh, they must be dead." Well, they're not dead, mate. Have you seen them dead? No. You know, how many fish you got in your pond? 2. That's why.
They're hiding down the bottom like
that.
Yeah. Petrified, yeah.
They're like that. You know. But soon you then put 10 fish in, they'll be straight at the top feeding.
Yeah, because there's always that fish is always thinking it's not going to be me, it's going to be other dude that gets snatched. It's not going to be me, it's not going to be me. There's safety in the massive numbers. Yeah.
Yeah, or they'll wait. Or if you watch your pond, right, sometimes you'll find that you've got a more confident fish. And what
100%.
Sit underneath until that fish takes, and then they're up.
Yeah.
Right, so they're actually waiting for the chag to get eaten by the heron before they take the
all my fish are greedy bastards.
Yeah, but you know, if this is what I'm saying, though, Vince, it will happen. They will wait for one fish to take before they all come up.
Oh yeah.
the mug.
I have noticed that in mine. I know it, and it's the chag followed by the Beniginga, and once those two start moving to surface, boom, the rest are. The rest might get there before them, especially the smaller ones. But once they see them going, that's it. They're on it straight away. Interesting. That's cool. That though, what you were saying there with that bit with halving the fish and getting the rest of it. I mean, I know that's why we did it when we were down there. When we did the grading and stuff. But so you're feeding your filters to an extent, aren't you? Really?
Yeah. The
capabilities of your filter.
Yeah, the biomass of the pond and whatever, it's all balanced, isn't it? So you can only go so far with the food, the amount of waste. The only way you're going to get better growth or potential from the fish you want to keep is by changing something, and you can't increase the food without destroying the water quality. So you've got to remove some of the fish. Yeah, simple sort of procedure.
This is a bit more of a fun question. Well, I don't know. I don't know if this is really a question as well. This Spring 8 says, I have 4 new koi in a quarantine pond for a month. Moving a nabby koi from a main pond, waiting 3 weeks, then 5 move to the main pond.
What's the point in that? You're introducing 2 stress levels.
Well, what he's saying, and this is what we encourage people to do. So he's got 4 fish in his quarantine tank that could be carrying all sorts that they live with, if their immune system's dealing with, and he's got his existing pond. So if you move one of your existing fish from your pond into the quarantine tank, it's going to be a reaction it will happen in the quarantine tank. And you can then go, well, that. But if after X amount of weeks, the 2 lots are together and you've had no reaction, then you're a lot safer to move all of them to the main pond. Okay. It's just a belt and braces thing. So basically, if you bought 4 fish from us, say, and you've got a load of Japanese fish in your main pond, and you quarantine our fish in their tank, and they're fine, and your Jap fish are fine, you're not really you're making sure that both populations are not carrying anything super nasty. But like Ricky said, the minute you mix the 2 populations, something's going to happen.
100%.
So if you take one of your existing fish and put it into the quarantine tank and see that reaction, it's in the quarantine tank. You can heat it, you can treat it, you can stand back and whatever. But it's not all your fish in your main pond. It's in the quarantine tank. And if nothing happens and they're all fine, you're a lot safer to put all 5 fish or whatever then into the new pond.
Okay.
Would you not think though? Yes, you can move all 5 fish into the main pond, but doing all 5 fish at once is then going to be an increase of ammonia in your pond for your filtration to pick up and deal with. Would it not be better to introduce 2 and then maybe a couple of days later another 2 or the 3?
No, it's better to create one big stress event than what it is.
Just stick them all in. If you're happy with them, stick them in. Because at the end of the day, if there's something nasty, it doesn't matter. You put 1 or all of them in. And at the end of the day,
I was meaning for the bioload for your filters to catch up.
But yeah, if you move 10 fish, if you don't change the amount you're feeding, you're not really changing the amount of ammonia that's going through that pond. Yep. So you're doing the same thing we do, but in reverse.
Yeah.
So don't suddenly just increase the food by 25% because you've got extra fish in it. Just feed the same amount. There'd be a bit more competition, but the same amount of ammonia is going to be released.
Yeah.
Jobs are good.
Then you can gradually pick back up again over a period of time if you want to add more. Yeah.
Look at Tony far more coy, mate.
Yeah,
Have a look at his comment, guys.
Oh, well, where's he put it?
At the bottom.
Which one?
So Thursday Night Live. I'm on the Guinness tonight.
The English fish then got time to learn the Japanese language. Right, the next one. This is a bit of a funny one, and I would say we've got a heck of a lot of people on 122, and I think we've had up to 136. Wow. Thanks very much for everybody tuning in. If you are new and you're enjoying the content, do us a huge favor, guys. I am trying to see, and I'm going to push myself for a little bit for once because I never really do. I am trying to see if I can get my channel, and I've been set a target. I very much doubt I'm going to be able to do it, but all the same, I shall bring it up and mention it. I'm trying to see if I can get up to 2,000, and I've been set a challenge to see if I can do it come Christmas. I'm literally 21 off 1,500, so it's only 521 subs that I need. So if you are enjoying this kind of content, and you know, first of all, give us a thumbs up, give us a smash, give us a like. But if you don't mind helping the channel grow a little bit, hit that subscribe as well, guys, and help me see if I can get to this challenge that I've been set. I was comfortably hoping I would get to the 1,500 by the end of the year, but I've been said, let's do it. You can make 2,000, and I really would like to. So if you guys can help me, I would appreciate it. Now, this one is a little bit more of a cheeky one. I have a wee question for the panel. If you could swap your garden pond with a YouTuber you subscribe to, who would it be? Mine is Righty, and that's from Richard and Sofa.
Oh,
that's a good question. That's
easy for me. That's easy for me.
I'm going first. I'm having Lee Hadfield's pond first.
There you go. So Lee Hadfield's pond's gone. If you could pick a pond, then Vince, from somebody you subscribe to, who would it be?
Oh, it'd have to be He Loves huge pond out in America that he's rebuilding. It's 50,000 gallons.
That's not a pond.
Fucking lake.
That's a goddamn lake. But you bastard. That's just pinch my eye.
Imagine how hard would it be to catch the fish in that, though, realistically?
But if it
I've got mine
running
anyway.
right, you wouldn't need to, would you?
If I were going to swap mine with a YouTuber, it would be New Forest Koi because he's got more than one. Hey, yes. There we go. Plenty ponds to choose from. I'd have that massive big lake.
My personal choice, I've always thought his pond looked amazing and his fish. I can't remember the guy's bloody name. Is it Terry? He's from Nottingham.
Righty.
I think. Who?
Righty.
Righties.
No, not Righty. No, the guy's got a bridge and the fish from under it. It's all super modern looking, really nice pond. You know, Andy Daly. He's mates with Andy Daly. He was helping him treat his fish at one point.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. Call it about no. God damn it! What's his channel called?
Exactly.
Frank from
Frank's.
Frank, that's it. Frank.
Frank's is
amazing. Yeah.
McCoy channel.
That is so sweet. I actually have seen another pond that was really, really nice. And I don't know who it is or whether they are a YouTuber or not, but that pond, it's the conservatory is built over the top of it. So it has a part of the pond which passes through a window and goes under the conservatory. And then the pond goes out into the garden. That is sweet.
That is sweet, Gaz, but there's going to be a lot of problems with that. Mosquitoes in your house and bloody filter flies and all the rest of the slugs coming through.
Give one of those big zapper things, Dad. Just corner of the room. That's it.
If I was going for sheer authenticity and the way it looked, that would be the pond that Peter Bobbington had in his home. That was stunning. And that.
What about you then, Crafter? What would you go for, mate? Whose would you go for?
For me, my own pond. No, I'm joking. If I was to have a pond, it would, and I've got the money to be able to achieve it, it'd be Lee Hadfield's. And I know it's gone, but if it's gone, it's gone.
Where's it gone?
Rick's already got it. It's a tough one. I'd probably go for an in-ground pond, and probably Righty he's got a bloody good setup. If I was to go for an in-ground pond, it'd be his, or something based along them lines.
That was a good question. That I like that one, mate.
Yeah.
It also proves there's a lot of different ones out there.
It does. I mean, well, to be fair, I've always liked A&C Coy's Pond. The shape of it and the clarity of it, the bridge bit over the top of it, and I've always liked that. And I do like that pond. But if I was picking a pond, I'd want more of the natural lake look, like Rick's got at his farm. I've always liked more natural. In fact, the Ginger Pond Keeper, that's a stunning pond because that is as natural as it comes. That's a beautiful pond. If I wasn't going to, joking aside with Rick's and taking the whole koi farm, I would go for that one first if I had a choice. But yeah, the Ginger Pond Keeper. His pond is stunning, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. There you go. I like that question, mate. That was a good one. Let's see what else we've got. Up North Koi's got a question. Does Sumi in Sankey behave the same as Sumi in Showa? I.e., if it starts to drop off, does it still have the ability to come back up like Showa do?
It does, yeah, but it doesn't behave the same. But it can change a fair chunk. But yeah, they're different animals. But yeah, there's different types of Sumi in Sankey. There's different types in Showa. But Sankey, generally, it will be super heavy as young fish, very young fish. If you see the Sankeys we grade today, they're so much Sumi, it's unbelievable. It recedes as Tozai. It recedes quite often more as Nisai, and then comes back as they age. And as they get older, if it starts to go off when they're older, that's the back end of it. But depending on the stress levels, again, stress will make it sink down, foods, water condition, all the rest of it. But Showa tends to come up, it comes up differently because it's a black fish. It's coming from a different place. So it's a different, again, different lines are slightly different, but yeah, as Showas develop, they could develop in a more steady, generally a more steady manner. You see it coming and it builds and builds and builds. Sankeys can be a bit more volatile, but yeah, you should see they tend to have their least. Sankeys normally least at around 2 year old. You tend to see the least amount of Sumi, and then it will develop with age. Whereas Showas, at 2 year old they can be Sumi up everywhere. They can do different things. So no, I'd say there. It depends on the bloodline. You've got so many variants amongst that.
Your Dragon Ball line from Sakai is, I think, he's in his fourth generation of fish before he's released them. And I looked at the reason why he put so much work into the Dragon Ball line, and that was to try and prevent that baby sumi. So the baby sumi in the Sankey, like Rick was on about, is you can see fish that have got lots and lots, and it just all completely disappears before it then re-emerges, like how it's going to tighten up or not come back hardly any in comparison. But with the Dragon Ball line, what he's tried to do is actually make a stable sumi line, so that doesn't happen. So you can actually see a more finished Sankey that's not going to have that much drop off in comparison to what his other lines do as well. So
what about Suris then on the development side of them?
That they're different. Again, it's the lines on them, Gaz. Different breeders.
Again, Churro series of black fish, though, isn't it? Very much like a shower.
Yeah, but
so can drop off and can come back up again then.
Yeah, a lot of them go. What we tend to find with the shearers is that at 4 or 5 months old, they kind of have a quite a good pattern, and that pattern some hold it, but the majority of them lose it. But that's the same pattern that they re-emerge with later in life. Some don't,
sweet.
but they'll go almost through to plain white, and then you can suddenly just a few black spots on them. But if you remember the fish through whatever reason, you got photos, you'll see it re-emerge where it was when it was, just a 5-6 centimeter fish. So they're completely different, but you get some that keep that pattern even from that size. It doesn't really change. But Heatsiri have a pattern, and that doesn't shift first nor last. From so big, they'll have a pattern, and that pattern just gets better. It just gets stronger. The orange becomes sort of red, and the black goes from brown to black. But it doesn't really, as long as it doesn't get speckledy, it tends to stay exactly the same. But they're quite
cool. How they're all so different, isn't it?
Yeah. It's each line, and again, different breeders. As soon as you cross the Dragon Ball line, they've crossed a Showa and a Sankey together. So you're putting 2 different types of sumi into one fish, and normally, it's a kind of recipe for things to look good and go bad or blossom later in life. It takes years for that to then settle down. Momotaro did it a decade ago with his Mako line to create those jumbo. The Showas weren't growing big enough for Momotaro's liking, so he put his jumbo line, Kahaku and Sankey, into his Showas, created 105 centimeter Showas. They're ridiculous, but they're not as refined as Issa Showas, but they grow. They're just different. Yeah.
The Issa Showas are very
frustrating. They're frustrating. Sorry, guys, go on, mate.
I'd say the Issa Showa doesn't tend to grow as big, does it? You're not going to get an Issa Showa to your 90s. You're only going to get it to your 60s, 70s, maybe 80s.
They have got bigger, to be fair, and they are the last lot we got. The last parent set we got from them are growing animals, and they will probably make 80, 90 centimeter fish if they were in the right conditions. But there's a big difference between an 80, 90 centimeter fish that's fat and sort of fully grown to 110 centimeter fish that's
still growing.
But do you want a fish, the qualities of the Issa and Dainichi shares or whatever, that much more refined? And that's a balance. Do you want something that's the end goal will be get something that grows to 110 centimeters and has those refined qualities?
Yeah.
I don't want any fish that are going to grow to 110 cm because I'll kick my ass if I have to make that pond bigger again. I'll tell you that. She's already not. No way.
Tomorrow, food you have to throw in as well.
I'm going to have my ass handed to me tomorrow when she gets home from work. You watch. I'm going to be made to look a bit that big in front of everybody when she comes in and go, what? You done?
Yeah, we'll have to dig fast, guys. Get it done in a day.
That's it.
Too late.
Dig it right quick until late then, isn't it? Should have been here.
Right,
next question. No, I won't be filling. No, well, she might fill it back in with me at the bottom of it. You never know. George has asked the question. Seen a video on YouTube of someone PPing the bio bead to clean it. It said that it will also kickstart the bio quicker. What's your thought, guys?
Why are you PP in a bio bed?
But does it mean the bio
B filter, or the
Well, are they talking about PP in plastic media so that
That's what I was. That's what I thought from the
fires
question.
up
Yeah,
quicker?
yeah.
and they reckon they reckon with that, if you do it, it's supposed to allow it to key better, isn't it? To take all
Yeah,
that wax.
it like erodes the surface layer off.
It damages the plastic, so the bacteria
Yeah.
can adhere to it. It does. It does. The plastic mirrors are a nightmare to mature compared to pretty much any other media. They take so much longer. When they're running, they're brilliant, but they take a lot longer than any other filter because the bacteria struggles to find a home on it, basically.
Yeah,
You
because
know,
of its shiny, slippy surface, it can't attach.
Yeah,
I find-
tumbling around, it gets knocked off, doesn't it? It's got nothing to grip to.
find static plastic media matures quicker than active plastic media does.
But it traps shit amongst it. It traps the detritus and the back. It just colonizes easier. But yeah, it's there you go. So, but yeah, it does work. To short and sweet of it.
Yeah.
But don't go PP in mature media because you're just going to kill it.
That's what I thought he was saying he was doing.
Yeah.
I think it's new. That's what I'm taking from that question. If it is, and he's PPing it, and it's already established, then no, that's not going to do the job. It's going to put you back to stage one again.
It's
Same
kind of
as-
like and buying a nice new car, getting some sandpaper, destroying the paint, and letting the rust get a good foothold. That's kind of what you're doing, isn't it?
That's what you're doing, yeah.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
If you want a rusty car.
Yeah.
Works great
Mr.
on
Webb
plastic
says-
media.
Mr. Webb says he would have James the Coy Whispers, then you'd have to thank his mum for the rabbits. Spring 8 says I would pick Dazzle Coys or Fish with Carl. Now, Fish with Carl's a good one, mate. Yeah, it's a nice
That is
one
a
too.
nice pond. But then when you look at the amount of money he spent on that,
He didn't spend that money on there, mate. He got
That's sponsorship.
That was sponsorship. That
Fucking
pond
never,
cost him
mate.
nothing.
He
What?
fucking never. He
You reckon?
put his hand in his. I know for a fact because obviously we've got reps working from Awaze and that, and I pulled the rep up on it, and he said,
I would have
"Nope."
thought. You see, I would have thought they would have done. I would have thought it'd have been a sponsorship deal because it's a big ass channel, isn't it?
Yeah.
I would have
He
thought that would have had a.
he obviously got a reduction in price, but it wasn't a huge amount what I would have expected.
Ah, well, there you go then. But nice pond, beautiful pond, nice fish and all that.
Yeah.
Got some
Now,
cracking fish
now
in
we've
there.
got over all his leaks.
He did
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Let's
With
have
a
a look.
fiberglass.
Quick through. Let's start another topic on what we've got here. What does the panel think of a much used phrase by both hobbyists and dealers when the pattern breaks? Now, this is a good one. When the pattern breaks and it becomes a 2-stroke 3-stroke 4-step pattern, it will improve the koi. Surely, by the pattern breaking, the koi is losing colour.
Yeah.
So,
Not
like, say, for
necessarily.
example, you've got a fish with a 2-step. Mine's not a 2-step, but it's breaking to become a 2-step. And I can already see it, Crafty, where, you know, what we were saying when you said on the day, that looks like you're going to get a break there, which it's definitely opening up. Does that, what he's saying is, does that mean that the fish now coming from a 1-step into a 2-step, does that mean that more might drop off and eventually become a Shuramuji?
No,
It's not dropping off. If you imagine colour as 3D, where you've got 2 bits of pattern through the skin and the scale, you've got it almost at an angle. So you'll have like your red and the white in between. But when it's like that and they're small, it might be just a very lighter colour. But as if the scales grow out and the skin thickens and it tightens up, you end up with a white almost band. But you shouldn't have if it's a solid colour, it shouldn't break. If it breaks, your benny's falling to bits. But if you've got an area where you've got 2 steps of pattern and they're really close together, you'll have red, pinky sort of colour, red.
Yeah.
And as that koi develops and the sashi and the kiwa develop, you end up as they sort of pull apart, you'll end up with the
Before you go, I just want to pick up on what you said there, the sashi and the kiwa. Can you explain what sashi and the kiwa means? Sashi being...
This is basically the leading edge and the back edge of the pattern. So the sashi is the leading edge. So you'll see quite often a pinky area under the skin almost, where it's red. It's the red pigment underneath, say, the scales or whatever. So you see an edge to the pattern, and as the scales develop and get thicker, that white gets whiter and that pink disappears. So it becomes a much tidier edge.
Right, I'm with you. So the pink will dissipate.
When a fish is young, you imagine when a fish is very young, the scales are opaque. You can see through the sort of top layer of the skin. So the red pigment in that piece of pattern is visible underneath the sort of first line of scales. So you want it visible, but only even. If it makes sense. If it's too much, it will never tighten up. So it's a whole, again, it's another, each bloodline's different. The age of the fish is different, but basically what you're seeing is underlying Benny under the scale, but that will disappear as the scale thickens and becomes a solid thing. You get a much.
Then that will make the kiwa, which would be the sharp finished edge.
No,
that will make. So that's the sashi at the front of the pattern. So that's the sashi. So your front's the sashi, and the back is the kiwa. Imagine it's like I was saying, they're almost at an angle through a fish. So a Deutz fish only has it through the skin, so it looks sharp. Basically, a Deutz fish. That's why people love little Deutz fish, young Deutz fish. The pattern looks red, white, nice crisp lines. Same with the black, and they're much crisp and sharp. But when you've got scale and skin and everything all combined, you get that blurred edging. Yeah. And also as the fish grows and the scales thicken and the skin, and you get a much sharper front and back edge to the pattern. And you see a really good kahaku. It's white, red. But obviously the fish that you got at Crafties, where you've got a younger fish that's red, a bit of pinky area, red, that's not the pattern breaking down. That's just natural development, and that will become like a white gap. It's probably you really want it to be more than a scales width of the pattern.
You're looking for no more than 2 scales. So when you start looking at the qualities of koi, sashi being one of them, you want that to be a nice, even, consistent hue all the way around the back end of the pattern. Well, sorry, the leading edge of the pattern. Sorry,
the leading edge for So the leading edge for the sashi and kiwa, when sometimes it follows a scale, and that's like it's scalloped almost. So each scale ends the pattern, and it looks quite nice. But
you get that flowery type of look to it. Then
it tends to be more unstable because you're relying on the scales, and sometimes when it starts breaking down, it looks nice. Tends to be a bit more avoided, certainly from our point of view, because it's not as when it cuts across the scale. Sometimes it goes round the scale and cuts across. It tends to be a much more stable finish to the back edge of the pattern. So if you're looking for a fish for longevity to grow for a big fish, the scallop edging is quite nice, but you just want to. You never want to see red. If you see scales drifting away, like a red scale with the white inside it between the step of the pattern, or whatever, that's kind of a big no-no. That's starting to Benny breaking down, or you're going to get those rogue red scales. But it is a whole learning curve of how the bloodline develops and what you're after. And if you're after a fish that's got all of the characteristics you want, you're going to pay top dollar for it because it's not going to be a cheap fish.
Chasing koi there. Slide the sashi to the front, kick the kiwa to the back. Nice.
There you go.
That works. That's good, that.
But
that kind of thing for me works well because I can remember stuff like that with little bits of.
Right.
So what's the other one? Count on the Benny, on the sumi. What's
bank on the sumi? Is it?
There's a saying with that, I think that as well. So I'm not.
But the reality is, Gaz, you don't want where you've got your 2 steps of Benny on the middle of the fish, where it was almost a weak area. Yes, that will split and become more defined. But if it's too close together, it will never look.
I know what you mean.
What you're after, it will always look a bit blurred because they're just too.
Yeah, they're going to be too
together, which is why you really want at least a full scale between steps of pattern.
Shit.
Ideally. Otherwise, you haven't got that clean sort of definition between stages and a four. And it gets harder. The more a fish that's only got 2 steps of pattern, it's easier to have good sashi and keyword because you've got less. When you've got 4 steps of pattern, you've got 4 places for it to go wrong.
Yeah.
5, you've got more and more areas where it just becomes more and more difficult. And then you chuck in me with that and everything else, and Sanki's become a lot harder than Kahaku's to get all those elements right. And yeah.
When you look at the Kahaku, Gaz, right, have a look at show winners, mate. You'll find that they're generally 2-3 step Kahaku, and that's because as soon as you start going past that, there's so many technical things that need to be right in it. It's really hard to get the same qualities. It's easier to achieve it with a 2-step Kahaku than what you would if you had one that had a super flowery pattern. And that's because there's so much more to get right.
Nice one. Sweet. Right. Let's see what the next question was. Now, Dave's from DT Koi. On outdoor ponds, are we really getting the full use of a backy shower, or does the panel think we here in the UK only really get use from them for about 3 to 4 months of the year with the right bacteria, etc., temperature-wise, as I'm guessing you're meaning with that, Dave, as well?
Well, considering Dave turns his off for the winter, he's never going to be able to answer that, has he? You know, I mean, mine runs 24/7, 365 days a year.
It's like it was the same as any of your filters, though. When the temperature drops, you know, your fish ain't feeding, you ain't producing your ammonia, the bacteria are slowing down, dying off. It's all relative, and you can't, in the middle of winter when it's 10 degrees, you're not feeding your fish very much, if at all. They're not producing any waste. The bacteria is too cold for them to multiply and do what they're doing. The whole thing, it doesn't matter whether it's a backy shower or a Nexus or whatever. The main drawback with the backy shower is when you get a northeasterly wind at -6, you're going to start super chilling your water. That is the one issue that you're going to face. You're exposing, and same with a waterfall, you're exposing all that water to super cold temperature. Yeah. And you're just going to make your pond colder. Other than that.
So would you think then, ideally, come winter months when those super chilled winds are about, you're better having returns underwater?
Yeah, basically, or turn your pond over a lot less, shut your backy shower off, whatever. Yeah. Do you want to still run your filtration that submerged filtration still wants to be run, but you want to expose the least amount of water to the air as you possibly can?
And that's going to apply more to people in the north because it's so much colder where you are, Gaz. I can't believe the difference.
Okay. Don't put your pond fountain on when it's -6, mate.
-6 will be, mate. Pond fountain will be frozen solid. But
that's
I did
temperatures, isn't it, for you?
Winter's coming, Jon Snow. Oh, damn it. It's just come up on my screen. Winter's coming. In case you're wondering, guys, we've started watching the Game of Thrones over again. So everybody's been a bastard and a little finger and an imp and all sorts of random stuff this week in chat. We've been slagging each other's off with Game of Thrones terms. Dave's put there. So would you put backhouse media in the pond over winter then?
No.
It's not going to do it.
I'd run your backy shower and just turn it off on the periods when it's proper cold. This bacteria is going to stay damp. It ain't going to die. It's going to die back to where it is anyway when it's cold. It's not. And then just put it back on when we're having mild spells or when it's warm enough to feed the fish or whatever. A shower filter doesn't die off just like that. The only way you'd kill off a filter is the submerged filters when you stop the water in them and they deoxygenate and the bacteria die because of lack of oxygen. And a shower filter, you haven't got that problem. So we'll shut on the farm.
Last year, Baldrick.
We shut some of the shower filters off on the farm for 3-4 weeks, then rang a load of fish in them and fire them back up, and they're absolutely fine. They're just,
There you go, then. So if you can go 3 or 4 weeks, that's That's
If it was that easy to kill bacteria in it, we wouldn't have all these bacterial problems in hospitals and everywhere else, would we? And it's pretty tough stuff.
And Chris says there, not if you're heated, no point. So yeah, if you're heated, it's not an issue, is it? Just keep going.
But your heat bill's going to go through the roof through a backy shower when it's cold. That's the thing, isn't it?
You're chilling your water to heat your water, chill your water to heat your water, so you would be literally throwing notes in the air.
Yeah.
Deep pockets, Chris. Yeah, got some deep pockets, Carl.
I mean, a lot of people box in their back, so basically they have a backy showers open for the summer and then insulate round. They don't need as much oxygen. They don't need as much air. You can insulate round them, put the returns down into the pond, so you can run it winter mode, summer mode, without major differences.
Oh, I have to get here. Your mouth's moving, but the sound's not coming.
Got me now.
There we go.
Yeah. That's better.
Off.
Yeah, I've got a bypass on mine from my skimmer because my skimmer feeds my shower. So what I do in the winter, I'll bypass the shower. I'll actually just have it returning back into the pond.
There you go. Said from the horse's mouth.
Well, has anybody else out there got any questions you would like to ask the panel this evening? Because I do believe that let me just double check.
Quite appreciation time.
Yeah. We'll be on
Missed you, Rick.
appreciation.
We missed you last week, mate.
Did you? I put in a beauty this week. I am definitely winning baby champion, mate.
Yeah.
Feelers can't show, mate.
I'm definitely winning baby champion.
David, Tony, can hear the sound back. Knock your sound off on your video, Tony.
How many Becco have you brought then, Tony?
Sorry, how many? What?
How many Becco? Have you got one of every colour?
No, I've only got one Becco, which I thought was a Shiro.
See, Tony, you did me like a kipper. See, I looked at yours and thought, hang about, I'm going to have to ask Rick. Is mine a Becco? 100% no, it's not a Becco. It's Shiro. Sorry. Oh, yes.
Yeah, I had to ask Rick as well.
Yeah, when I looked at yours, Tony, I thought, oh, mine might be an all then. So
Mine was,
I had to remind Rick it was Becco's this week.
Mine was hatched in June 22 from one of it was one of Ricky's 2-3 week old fry that I had last year.
Oh, so that makes it a Yuen side then, doesn't it?
Something like that. I know.
I'm gonna make that a new one, Yuen side.
I know if it was a Tosai, it would be jumbo Tosai because it's really grown well.
So there you go. Category jumbo Tosai.
Yeah. But, I think under the rules, it's now Nisai, actually, isn't it?
A home KHV test kit designs, thoughts?
I'd say it'd probably be quite dangerous. Well, it would be handy on one hand. It'd be super dangerous on another.
If it worked.
People can't test for ammonia or anything else, can they? You put it in the hands of. Yeah.
I see your point.
Yeah. COVID tests work in the right hands and not so well in other hands, do they?
No.
I think KHV is something that needs to be sourced back to breeders. Go back to source. Not even really dealers to a point, but yeah, if countries adopted the right, like Japan did, you've got to be a dealer. You got to be tested. With stamp on this, we'll be absolutely on it. There's not a problem. When it hit this country 10, 15 years ago, our government said, well, we can't stop importing from these countries. DEFRA imported loads of fish from around the world. They had, out of 9 boxes, they had 7 positive boxes with KHV from different places around the world. And they're like, well, we can't suspend imports from these countries because of fair trade.
Yeah.
If they want to do anything and you can import from them, then you're already in trouble.
Yeah.
And they're taking it off the notifiable list. So
What, KHV is coming off the notifiable list?
as far as I'm aware, it's going to be taken
Yeah,
off
I
the
heard that.
notifiable list because it's so endemic in the country now
Yeah.
that they're like, it's just
Yeah,
it's like
there's nothing we can
it's
do.
everywhere. We can't talk about it. Crack on. So
Shit.
yeah, and that's
Saying
about.
that though, Rick, man, I'm just renewing the pet shop license. I've got to jump through so many fucking hoops. It's unreal at the minute, mate.
We've been collared. I'm not being funny. All this is kicked off. We had the council get onto us. They've changed their regulations. We've never had a pet shop license. We've never needed one, but now we do need one. Which is fine. It doesn't bother me. But we've now got to split. Our shop is now a separate entity to the farm. So DEFRA check the farm, and the shop is now going to be a separate entity that is under the pet shop license, because obviously the farm can't be under the pet shop license because of the way you farm fish. And it's like, so the first thing is, how's your quarantine procedures? I said, well, they're all coming off our fish from the farm. We've had them since they were born. How much more quarantine can we put them through? So it's just, but it's fine. We'll just go for it's up 170 quid and it's tick a box.
Money grabbing bastards.
It's 530 quid for us, mate.
Yeah. You should move to the forest, mate.
Wait,
So I guess that
the
it changes the area that you're in then.
Yeah. Each council has different.
They're all
Yeah,
the rate.
rules,
Yeah.
mate.
I mean, that takes piss a bit, doesn't it? You'd have thought it'd have been a set price no matter where you were.
Should be
Yeah.
smooth,
Like
though,
Like
isn't it?
your rules, but no.
Yeah, it's one of those. They've had to change some of the some of the small print in it, because obviously a breeder doesn't need a pet shop license.
Correct.
So if you bred your dogs at home and you sold them, you don't need a pet shop license. But if you breed more than 6 litters a year, you need a pet shop license to be able to sell dogs. It's just there's some random, so they've had to change it. Obviously, there's been people. There's obviously more farms. There's more people doing fish, and at the end of the day, I don't think it's a bad thing. The more legislation, the more hoops that are put in the way will stop some people that don't go.
Don't do it.
You
in
know
the
what's
first place,
funny,
yeah.
mate? They're bringing a vet.
Yeah, but we've already got a vet for the farm, so we've already got one.
We've got a vet. Don't get me wrong, but they're choosing to bring a vet. And it's like, what a fucking joke! If
That's why you're paying 500 quid, because you got to pay the
No,
vet
no,
for it.
that's a separate fee, mate. That's 550 quid, mate, just to have the vet turn up that they delegate to us. Right? But yeah,
We
it's
don't
like,
sell anything other than fucking fish.
but this is the thing, Vince, that gets you, mate. It's like, if I sold you a fish and it got poorly, a vet wouldn't even fucking entertain it.
No.
Yeah.
You know?
It's the legislation then the whole animal, the movement of animal thing was changed about 5 years ago. They said that all animals that are being transported have to be fed and watered en route after every 6 hours, and they put fish into that.
Yeah.
So we're like, we're starving our fish to transport them, and you're saying we've got to open the bags and feed them and give them a drink because they.
And pollute them.
But
I'm
that's
sure most,
Oh, we got to do this. Everything has to be fed and watered. And okay, if you're transporting cows to France,
yeah.
or whatever, yeah, but you can't put everything under the same umbrella. It doesn't work. So yeah, a vet
I'm
coming
sure
to see
most vets.
he doesn't know which fish is what. He's not going to know a different.
Yeah.
It's when they say, "Can you bring the fish in?" I'd love somebody just to wrap a dog lead around it and drag it across Florida. There you go.
90 centimetre fish.
fucking
What can you
face,
do with that? Think it's dying. You best be quick.
you know, it's just fucking face
Splash some
hanging off.
more on it.
Looks like it's been shot.
Yeah,
You know.
I've lost where we were now. The track was completely gone. But yeah, I do think there should be almost more rules to sell fish and whatever to some degree. There should be for animal rights, for animal welfare. I've got no issue with it. We've just never needed one. It just said you don't need one. We've never had one. They came to us and said you don't need one. Now they're like, oh, actually, we've changed that. You do need one now. But we've got
Because
I just want a
they
bit
can take some of that
that.
off you for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's another slap
Another
your ass tax, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's not, again, it's not a bad thing. The whole fish transport thing, up until a couple of years ago, you could send fish with any courier in any way, shape, or form. There was no legislation against it. It was like people were sending out fish in bags that leak with no oxygen and not,
It's all got to be for a positive, hasn't it? For a good reason. If it means the fish get better conditions, better everything else for it, then it is a positive. It's not a negative, is it?
100%.
If you're compliant and you do what needs to be done, then it's only better, isn't it? Really, it's kicking ass, but hopefully it gets rid of those that aren't doing what they should be doing, and then only decent stuff gets pushed and moved forward.
So
that's what it should be.
It is one, mate. How many people here get like a bit of media, like in their pond from like their easy pots, for example? Bit of media falls in. Right, it's
yeah, now and again.
Yeah.
Right? Well,
I'm saying no. That's never happened to me.
If somebody from the council was to see that floating media, they would say that you are not doing your job properly because a fish can chew on it and kill it.
Yeah.
See,
it's one of those things you haven't got the right. You ended up having to cover them because they could jump out and hurt themselves.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what else happened, mate. It was just a bit of an inspection, mate. Nothing more. Where they just pop in to make sure you're towing the line. Some of the towseye, when they walk to the front of the tank, the towseye are climbing over each other, right, to try and get to the food.
Overcrowded.
To 15. Oh, is that normal? Yeah. Don't they injure themselves? No. It's like, oh, they're hungry. Yes, and they will be hungry. We could stand there and feed them all bloody day. Yeah, but they shouldn't be doing that. It's like next day where you see them circling. Is that normal behaviour? It's like, it's like the blind leading the blind.
It must be hard not to say, do you know anything about fish at all?
Yeah, that's the point. And why should they? They're a council inspector for God knows what. They don't know nothing about.
But you'd think that surely to God they've got to have some basic knowledge of it. I mean, what's the point walking in to inspect something if you don't know what you're coming to look at to inspect it?
How many stores must they look at in their area? They must get some kind of, like you say, experience built up.
Well, they probably will do, wouldn't they? The more
you're not the only store, are you, Crafty, in your area? Surely.
There's about 3 aquatics, mate, in our whole catchment.
In the whole, right?
Yeah, aquatics there's not that many, mate, especially with koi. The problem we have is when you're up against, like in the tropic section, when you're up against the likes of big, I can't say the name just in case, but when you're up against like the big retail stores,
yeah,
they've got policies on policies, and they're saying you can't keep any more than like 5 tanks.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
in their tank, they've got 5,000 swimming around.
Yeah.
We're up against them sort of people.
Would you like me to say about a certain store like that I visited?
Are you Pets at Home?
Well,
because I went to one called Pets at Home not so long ago, and I went in there to think. I mean, look, I'll show you guys. I mean, I have a tropical fish tank. It is,
that's nice.
It's well set up. It's a decent size. Not really overstocked, which could do with some more stock. So I thought I'll go down and go pick some up.
Guys, I'll sort you out.
Oh, sweet, nice one. So I went down to certain, and this young kid, like, how big is your fish tank? It's 4 foot by 18 inch by 12 foot. How many fish you got in it? About 14. Oh, right. Well, how many are you thinking of getting? I said, just a quick question for you, mate. Can you tell me, is your filtration system that you've got there running, are they individually filtered tanks? Yes. Sorry, he goes, no. This column here is individual. That column there is individual. That column there is individual. I said, right, okay, mate, thanks very much. He says, so how many fish would you want? I says, none at all, thanks. I says, because you've just told me that those fish in there with white spot are on the same system as all them. So I wanted some of them, but I don't want them anymore now because their fish there have got white spot and they're all running through the same system. See you later, mate. Ta-da. And he's more bothered about how much I can put in my tank and he ain't got a clue that his fish are all going to be spreading white spot from tank to tank to tank to tank to tank all the way down.
He's going the line, hasn't he? He's got to ask, isn't he?
No, I'm not knocking the kid. I'm not, or the young lad. I'm not knocking him. He's just doing as he's instructed or as he's asked. But when you're walking in there, you've been keeping tropical fish since before you were even born. And he's asking you how many fish you want. And then when you spot white spot in it and you point it out to him and they're not even treating them. And I said to, are you going to take those fish off for sale? No, we'll just make sure they get treated. But they need to be.
Well, that goes
if
straight.
you continue to sell them.
That goes against pet shop licensing, mate. If you've got fish that are under some sort of treatment, you're supposed to either physically put some out to say they're on treatment, like I do.
Well, the whole system should be under treatment, shouldn't it? The whole lot. If you've got 6 tanks running off it, you can't just have the fish that are under treatment 100%. And then run the rest. Every one of those tanks should be shut off. But, Anyway, that went down a different topic, but I get where you just a little. But it's looking a bit sweet, isn't it? Look at that. It's just had a good fettle and a clean today as well, though. So it is looking
really good, mate.
Everybody want a really large pleck. My lass would kick me out if I got rid of it.
If you want anything, mate, I like your cups as well. They're nice.
Yeah.
Good.
I'm sure one from this guy called Crafty.
No, I
ain't got one of his yet.
No, I haven't got one yet.
You haven't got one. I haven't even got one of me on there either.
Sitting on the biggest mug collection on YouTube, and I still haven't got a crafty koi mug.
Because I haven't got one, mate. I don't do them.
Just nick one. It's only in the shop.
It's original.
I had one made, and I'll tell you what I've done, mate. I was playing Rocky Balboa on the VR, and I punched it across the lounge the day after I had it.
I actually thought about doing a different one. Belt buckles.
Why?
Just to try something different, see if you can get everybody walking around with belt buckles on. I mean, watching Vince run around with 69 belt buckles on his belt.
His trousers falling down. You need braces to hold them up.
Bring a whole new meaning to belt and braces, wouldn't it?
Right, let's kick off with some koi appreciation when Rick gets back, and we'll stick on some of the fish that we've had sent in this week. I'll give him a couple of minutes to go fetch another can of Guinness. I think he's on this evening, right? Dave just sent a message in there to private chat saying, I thought Gaz were going to say underpants then. Yeah, you could all walk around with GKP on your ass. I don't think so, mate. Lounge pants. Now, lounge pants we might be able to do. We do them. Sliders. What about sliders? Got some GKP sliders on my website.
Look, you have to wear your underpants on the outside like Superman.
Well, Tony, whatever you do in the comfort of your own home is entirely for yourself, mate. You can wear them wherever you want. You can wear them on your head for a lacquer. Come on, Rick, where you gone? Right at the most important time of the evening, koi appreciation. So, Vicky, if you can remember, or Daz, if you can remember, or any of the admin, what is next week's fish? Because it's gone out of my head. I can't remember for life, isn't it?
Damn it.
I can't remember.
No.
Yorkshire Koi says, what about ties? Now, that would only work if you had a suit to wear them with.
We're not smart enough to wear ties.
Yeah.
We're heathens.
Only time I'd wear a tie is in a couple of months when I go to my daughter's wedding.
Baseball caps. What about baseball caps?
Baseball caps, you can do them. Yeah, baseball caps would be good.
Yeah, people do baseball caps and beanie hats, mate.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Well, actually, I did.
More as a merch thing than a collectible, though, isn't it?
I'm back.
Coasters, Skeggy says, are becoming more popular. Gaz, yeah. Gashi says, Gaz. Is Gaz on a diet? Not seen. Do you mean Daz? Is Daz on a diet? Not seen a trifle or egg custard tonight? He smashed it.
You missed it.
On the live, mate. And he did say he had a second one. He might eat another one if he can.
No, Stel's got it.
Already-
She got to it first.
Yeah.
You ate one earlier, man.
Smacked the shit out of
I
that
did.
while Gavin was trying to sort the audio out.
Yeah, first 5 minutes of the live, it had gone. It didn't last long.
I've got to admit, this is doing my titting, not being able to hear the sound coming through. But I suppose our lass will be a lot happier that she shouldn't have to listen to us lot chelp all night. But I'm going to have to see what I can do with that and sort it out. Flat caps, Pete. What an idea.
Oh,
Flat caps.
yeah.
Then everybody could have a Friday night shagging cap with GKP on it or whatever else you want on it. How about that, Dave? Would you have one of them? Do you think? Oh, sorry, you've already got one, haven't you? Flat cap. Bucket hats. There you go. That's another one. Bucket hats are nice.
I think you've got to be north of Birmingham to wear a flat cap, haven't you?
Yeah, and a whippet.
Stereotypical, Tony.
Fridge magnets there. Couple of fridge magnets, that'll do.
See, the thing is with the coffee cups, though, they ain't all that cheap. Not when you're buying a lot.
No.
It costs a lot. I spent way too much money on coffee cups. So I never freaking use any of them.
Oh, I use all mine.
The ones that I've got are in. They get banded round the shop like they're all over the place. Nothing better than getting a bit of advertisement out for your
Well,
boy.
that's it, yeah. That's it,
That's
isn't
what
it?
they
I
should
suppose that's another way of looking at it, too.
Only a weirdo would hide them in his shed, all hidden, lined up.
Yeah, full of spice and cobweb.
or on top of the fish tank.
Right then, let's get into
Mind you,
this.
It's not my fault. I've got 67.
67.
I've
Well,
seen Ricky.
It kind of is
Ricky's
your
small
fault.
collection.
You were one of the people that started, so.
It should be on a mug tree.
Mug
See the
tree.
So I've seen
To be fair,
Ricky's
they
small
could- they
collection
could,
of mugs. One of them is so encrusted around the edges you can't get any tea in it.
Nice. That's how it should be. Well used.
Perfect team for that. Great.
Well, that,
Yeah, that's nice, Tony.
Yeah, that's a kahaku.
Right.
I'm going to say,
this
I've never
one-
pushed the orange one.
This one. He's obviously balled up a couple of fish. Just use the same footage. Right, this is the first one. This is John Johnson's and John Johnson Jr., which I believe he'll be sending in on behalf of his dad again, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, John.
JJJ initials.
Is that a Deutsch Becco?
Deutsch
It does
Gin.
look like it.
Yeah, is it Deutsch Gin Becco?
Mm.
How are you
So you-
finding
Oh, 47. Quite nice, that.
Mm.
We actually looked into Beccos, and there's a lot more Becco than what you think. A heck of a lot more Becco than what you think.
Unless you're showing, then you'll only find one.
Yeah.
That's the first one. Now, I don't think there's a Becco in this. Diana Brandon shared this, but I don't know if it's just feeding time or whether there's a Becco in here. So,
That's a Becco there, isn't it?
It is, yeah, right in the middle.
Right in the middle.
That's Surrey, man.
That's a Shiro.
that's a Shiro at Surrey, that one, isn't it? That's the only reason why.
Yeah.
Right, so that one is just a feeding video. Now, this one is Mandy Plumpton, which
Yeah, that's
is
my record, isn't
a
it?
new Becco that she picked up.
Wonder where she got that from.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wonder where that come from.
Well, yeah, Ricky would vote that number one, wouldn't he? It's actually quite a good Becco, to be fair.
It's nice, isn't it?
That's fairly new as well.
So there we go. Now this is Dave's Rocket Boy. But Rocket Boy doesn't have a bowl, so he couldn't put it in a bowl so we could see it.
So
He
put
didn't
it
turn
on
the air up, did he?
You've got
So
a
we got a distance shot through a narrow view. Rocket Boy, you're a YouTuber. Take your phone this way, man, so we get a full wide screen of it.
And take it
that's-
out of the air or the water return.
I don't think we can't zoom it in either. But there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, Dave's, this might be a slightly better one. There we go. That's a nice fish.
Yeah.
Are you there? To be fair, it's probably the best we've seen so far.
Yeah. So now this one is Sally Harfield's. And I'm pretty sure this one got shown for a tan show a couple of weeks ago.
Is that a Tancho Becco then?
Don't make it.
Tancho Sankey.
Makes it a Sankey, doesn't it?
I think that's a Sankey, isn't it?
It's Tancho Sankey.
Sankey.
That red spot looks like it will disappear as it gets bigger, and then it will become a Becco. But at the moment, that's Tancho Sankey.
Sorry, Sally, but the judges have denied.
The judges.
That Benny spot just gets
Nice
a bit
fish, though,
larger.
It is a nice fish.
That'll be a
It
lucky
is.
fish.
Pretty fish. This one Sally's again. And now this one's got a tiny little bit of Benny on its
Oh,
gill
yeah.
plate.
I've got one like that.
So what does that make that then? I make it a Sankey.
Sankey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a Deutsch
Yep.
Sankey.
Or as we sometimes like to call them, a Shanky.
It's nice though. It's a nice fish again.
If
Yeah,
she only
nice.
visited it from one side,
Nice distribution of sumi. It's a shame of the red spot.
What you should have done, Sally, was when you took a picture of it, you should have held it in your hand like that, covering up that little red spot. Nobody's been able to see it.
Trust me, Gaz, that did cross my mind with the one I got, the same as that.
I can't wait
So
to see
two-
that. It's a saggy. I
two-
can't.
One Sankey and one Tancho Sankey. That's just another random question, but again, and I think
that's a Beck over there somewhere.
God.
No, that's
it's the same one again, unfortunately.
Again.
Yeah.
She's working hard.
Right. That's all that we've actually got sent through on Facebook, I do believe. So we'll go back to the first one in case we need to come back to them.
Does that mean Beckos aren't very popular?
Yeah, not so much at all.
Oh.
Not as popular as you would think.
No.
Right, let's go to Rick's one. As you can see, there is,
That.
look at
Baby
that little
champ.
beauty. Now this,
Fucking hell, that's about
believe
5
it or not,
meters big, isn't it?
this is only 2 cm.
That's
I
a clown
can
load.
see Benny on that.
Where?
The
Oh, he
sumi on
said.
its,
Yeah.
the sumi on its head looks nice. That brain looks
That,
lovely.
Benny, that is his brain. That is a pucker little Chiro Becco.
Fuck me! You told me you was going to be stretching it, but you didn't tell me it was going to be that bad.
2 cm as well.
I've gone
You
for
haven't
baby
stretched the arm much
champion.
yet. Baby champ. They could have baby
Yeah,
champ.
2 centimetre one.
And
Look at that.
Simon says that's a Sankey.
You selling that for about
No,
10p
no,
then? Because
There's no
2
Benny
cm.
in that. That's just really, really junior skin.
Junior, very
Yeah.
junior. Yeah, I think that's
Fucking
mate.
That's what's that like? 3 week old?
No, about 6 weeks old.
6 week old.
2 centimetres long, mate.
Haven't they?
2.
2 centimetres. That's definitely going to be baby champion.
It's still
3/4 of an inch.
Baby champion has to be over 15 cm. You know that, right?
No, not in my game, it doesn't.
So we've got Tony's here. Now,
Yeah.
Tony, this is what got me guessing, because that's Tony's Becco, which you got from New Forest.
There's a bit of food there, Tony. Are you feeding them enough?
Heads up my mouth, Rick. So fuck me, half a bag.
I think he dropped the tub in, didn't he? Mid-filming. Nice,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely a back out. It's all right.
Yeah.
It's not as good as the one on the
And
leaflet thing.
We've
Certificate, yeah.
actually, we've actually had it sent and sent and sent and sent and sent. You had no different ones, Tony. No, they all the.
No,
I sat here overnight, and Tony's sending me a message, and I got one, then another one, then another one, then another one, then another one. I'm like, what the hell's going on?
There's 3 different vids, I think, or 4 different
Yeah.
vids. I think there's one where it comes up and feeds right in the middle of the.
That's 2.
They haven't got any option but to feed.
That's 3. So
You have to swim through it.
And I think Dave sent the same ones through there as well. So, right. So we've got Daz Shelton's.
He ain't got a bowl either, is he?
No, none of these big koi keepers got bowls.
How the fuck?
I've got bowlers, can't catch the sods. They're too quick
No,
It
for
looks
me.
like it
neither.
might be raining in
You
Skegness
use
at the
the
time.
Catching them with your hands is hard, mate.
Oh, there it is.
Mine.
There we go. He has just done a big filter clean, he said, so it's a bit murky. So that one's Skeggies. Oh. Now we've got one from Vince. This is nice, this one, mate. I love the eyes on this, me.
See, this is a good one, isn't it? It's the
I've
best
got-
one.
Isn't there a bit of red by that eye?
Well, that's
Both
the thing. isn't it?
eyes. Both got a bit of red.
Oh,
on both
yeah.
eyes. It's actually on the eye. It is its eye.
Oh,
And I did actually speak to Alan at the Great British Koi Show, and I asked him if this was taken to a show, how would it be benched? And he said if it was me benching it, I would bench it as a Becco.
So if Alan said it, we're all going to disagree and say it's a Sankey.
Irrespective of the red dot on the top of each eyes, he would bench that as a
But
Becco.
that would lose to an actual Becco without any red on it. That's what would happen.
That's
Yeah.
not. I like that though, mate. That whenever you go to Vince's and you see that fish come up, it proper pops. So it comes to the top. It really makes it stand out, man.
well, nice body shape.
It's a lovely fish, but it's disqualified because it's a Sankey.
Hands down, for me, hands down, that's the winner. That's the best.
So far, that's the best then, yeah.
Definitely.
Oh, we
It's
got a video
lovely,
as well.
beautiful fish.
That was measured this afternoon when I had Seska and Rennie round, and she's 57 cm.
Wow.
Nice.
That's nice fish, that Vince. I like that, mate. But I said that last time to you when I came down, didn't I? I said, God, that fish's eyes are stunning when it comes up to top.
Looks a bit got
If
size,
it's
mate.
Ginrin, that'd be benched as a Ginrin anyway, wouldn't it?
Yep, it would.
Yeah. So, right. I've just got some more sent through to me on the Book of Faces.
Too late.
Daz, you want a Magnum now?
Solera.
This is Cash's.
Yep.
I'm losing body mass. I've got to maintain it.
20 cm.
Mate, you've got to fucking put it on to maintain it, mate. That's nice.
I like the fins. I like this Tajimi.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is that instead of Motoguru then in Becco?
Yeah, the
Yes.
street rather than the block.
Hmm.
And it's called the same with Sankey as well.
I'd like to see that finish. It'd be quite interesting to see the filming on it once it comes up.
Talk about, listen to this one here, look. This is funny. Entered both for Sankey and Shower, and you all said they were Becco. Can't win. Sally, it's not me. I didn't say no. So when she entered them as for Sankey and Showers, we all said they were Beccos. I reckon some of them don't know what they're talking about, Sally. Nice fish, love, anyway, regardless.
Rigged. It's definitely rigged.
That was funny. Right, so that's the. I don't think there's any more on here.
Did you get one off Alan Tate?
Yes, indeed. I did, yeah.
I thought
Good
he's
call.
a Surrey lover, isn't he?
Actually, got two. I got two pictures from Alan. That's his Becco.
That's his
Ooh.
pond water as well.
Jesus.
And then this second picture is for whenever Vince uses the word is, that's a pretty fish.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that picture, I'm going to make it into another little one of those memes, and I'm going to stick it on. So every time when Vince goes, that's a pretty fish, that picture. As long as Alan don't mind me doing so.
No, that's what he done it for, mate. But you can
Vince,
see
you got to be
how
happy,
deep
though.
that Sumi
Don't
is.
look as if the bowl's big enough for it, does it?
At least he's got a bowl.
Yeah.
What are we getting here?
Becco washing machine.
Ball, you know. There's Becco.
Well, black and white.
And there's his Becco fridge. Nice one. It's getting worse. This show's getting worse every week. Right. So we've got the viewers' fish that were sent through to me in here. And this one is Jigsy's.
Alan's actually in the house.
Alan should get on.
Oh,
this.
it is.
75 cm, he says, that fish, Alan.
Yeah. In the 60 cm bowl.
Jigsy, you sure that's a Becco, not a Shiro, son?
That's a Becco, mate. Definitely. Not quite as good as yours, mate. You're right. You're safe.
So that was Jigsy's. And then we've got a whole selection of one from Daz.
Oh, Daz has probably got a handful, hasn't he? See, that's nearly as small as mine. Not quite.
That's a Kingin Becco. I think we go far, actually.
That one is.
Oh, you got some big gill plates there, Gat.
Right, yeah.
Got some. They're all from the same spawn, anyway.
The little one's quite nice.
I don't do these little fish, so I'm going to ask a question for my own learning. Looking at that second fish there, man, it looked really fucking abnormal. But is that normal to see at that size?
What, the bigger one?
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
big
no.
one does look a bit.
It's not right.
Just look a bit weird.
I was just double checking whether or not it was me or whether or not you expect it to do something else because I don't.
Don't look as if the gill
see
plates are
joint.
going to cover properly, does it?
No, it
This-
doesn't, does it?
Look at the little one's nice.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it does. It's Ginrin. It don't fit into the category. Vince's is Ginrin, isn't it?
Akabecco. Are they?
Key Becco
Keybecco. They're Keybecco, yeah.
with a bit
Ginrin.
of white, so it's not really. But
Well, the other one is. Fuck off. That one is.
again, the little ones, the little ones are right.
Stop making me laugh.
No, that's not allowed.
No, that's pushing the boat there, Gat.
That's emerging Sumi.
How do we even pick it out as a Becco? There you
I
go.
wish I knew those littlies was allowed. I could have had some of them out of mine.
You haven't got any little ones. They start at bloody 60 cm at your place.
No, I have. I got them. I got some little ones in the aquarium.
Dad, see that mark on its head? That mine was a brain.
Yeah.
He's got a very funny shaped brain, or that's like
Because it goes over here as well.
It's got two brains.
two brains. We are. That's...
Never Ginrin.
How did you create that?
Why?
How? What parents are you?
It's from a Sankey spawn.
That's quite a. With the black fins, that's almost like Shiro Becco cross, isn't it? Got the black in.
There's no Shiro in it at all. I've never had a Shiro, so I'm certain there's no Shiro parentage in it.
But the amount of black in that, in the fins, the head, the eyes, the mouth, it looks like it was a black fish.
It's almost as if it's Matsukabaki.
I'm going to say it could possibly have some Matsu Kawabaki lineage in it.
There we okay. All right.
That would make more sense.
It does look like it's come from a black place.
Chris Taylor says, "Oh my God, need spec savers tomorrow. Half of them look like Sankeys."
What, Jazzy's now bleeding place?
Now, I like this one.
That's a nice little Becco. That's what you normally see from a Sankey spawning.
It's got tagliatelle fins as well, or whatever it's called.
Tagliatelle. I like a bit of
The
pasta.
made.
Yeah, that's it.
That's all baby sumi, so that'll shrink back. That'd be nice. Nothing wrong with that, mate.
Finally, one that's right.
Now, this one looks almost
Spilt something on that, didn't you?
Metallic thing.
Isn't it?
it's metallic as well.
Yeah, that's Kinbeko, isn't it? Or Kinbeko, sorry.
It's like half metallic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't start going down that route. We're talking about fish, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. How many Beccos you got, Daz? You just got
Thousands. Shoals of them.
I'll put it back on again, Skeg.
Nice. See, that's actually that's got a bit of potential, mate. Where the sumi is on that, look quite nice.
Thanks.
You're doing all right.
This is my favourite one.
Oh, blimey.
If it stays still long enough. It was making.
You started filming it wrong one then for a second.
I know it's making my eyes cross. I was trying to bloody focus on it.
So have you not got a blue bow either?
I
I
am.
was waiting for it.
I spent about 3 hours trying to catch that bugger, and I gave up in the end after my waders are full of water. I nearly drowned.
That one's not a Becco, does.
No.
Can't get in my pond with waders.
You can get in, you're just going to drown.
Yeah.
Most people that ain't got a bowl, we've got a sail on this weekend.
2 plugs in one night, Crafty. You're right.
Oh, mate, I've got to do it. You know.
Did you not get the other ones, Kaz? The
Fuck me.
No, mate. No.
the Akabeko.
Guys, you've got to start charging him 60 quid of VAT, mate.
That's all the ones that I got sent through so far.
Oh, you didn't get the Akabeko. Oh, there's another 50.
Oh, there is
Akabeko.
this two. Hang about. Might have.
Got a whole file for him, look.
Oh. Nope, not that one. Not that one. Oh, damn, Daz.
What did you send him?
How many of the same video did you send me?
I don't know.
Nope. Nope. You sewing machine skills? Then no. Because that's everything else down there.
Maybe that load or something. Yeah, so they were probably the best out of all of them. Bloody Akabeko.
Daz says if I play the video, it comes on better further on.
His blanket was growing out the pond and up the wall, isn't it?
That's like Spanish moss.
We still need a bowl. Right, so I sent mine to Rick, which was the reason why I questioned this is that's my Becco,
Very nice.
but I spotted something today on it. Look at its left pec. It's got like an extra bit on it.
Third.
Yeah, it's got a little
It's just
finger.
got a little.
Yeah, just one of the rays have grown a little bit longer.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
This is when you try and measure it for an hour.
Yeah.
I won't bore you with that. And then the other one is the squash tomato, which is an Akabeko.
So
Oh, that's a bit of a stretch.
I was going to say,
I've
I've
got
got
a
two
Aragoki
fish like that.
Beko as well. I sent you guys. You obviously didn't get that one either.
Yeah, I got two like that one.
It's my squash
You
tomato.
like them chunky, don't you, Tony?
But the shear at Siri in the bill, you can see it shear at Siri, can't we? Because of the Montagura and the fins.
And the fact that you bowled it up for him a few weeks ago.
Well, that as well. But
Well, the reason why I asked is I thought about the head part being white.
it makes no
You can
difference to
see-
me. The
So,
pattern
right.
makes no difference.
So what defines a Beko to a Shuru Atsuru then?
Shear at Siri is a
I
black
thought it was
fish.
a white head.
No, it's a black fish. That's a black fish, and it's
Ah.
the white. The white pattern is on top of the black. So you can see all the black in the head, but that's actually a black fish. When it hatched, it was black. Your shear.
So the fry will be black.
Yeah, so the fry are black, and that's just waiting for the sumi to come back up. But a Shiro Beko hatches white with the black spots, like Dalmatian kind of spots. But yeah, they're different. They start life a different color from different parents.
Maybe it was. Turn my PC off. Apparently, it's too hot. It's warming the house up. Not surprised my legs are cooking. There you go. That's mine.
All mine are on an exercise regime now.
I'm not surprised with the amount you feed them.
Yeah. The old circulation pump is up on full. It's like being in a washing machine.
Who's taking first place then
Vince.
in the Beko appreciation?
Vince.
Was yours Deutsch, Gaz?
No, it's scale that.
Yeah,
Oh, right.
Vince's fish can have it.
Vince is the best. It's better than Alan's as well, even though it's not as big. Sorry, Alan.
I'd go for yours, Gaz, because that red eyes freak me out, man. You look like Terminator.
Let's bring up again and bring Vince's up.
Let's give it to Vince. Make him smile.
The skin quality, the shape, everything about that is
I don't know.
better. It's the best.
Put Al's fish back on as well. Can't you put them on two different windows? You can't, can you?
Alan's fish is not helped by the green water, is it? He's got a blue bulb.
To be fair, mate, Al needs a slap because the picture he sent in was shit as
Was
well.
it?
It must be his eyes, mate. His eyes aren't as good as they used to be.
It must have took him
Alan
ages.
just put in the comments, bollocks, Ricky.
Must have took him ages to get that out of his lake.
Oh, Alan, come on. There's no competition.
It's the same fish.
No, the
One
spots
in
are like
clear.
cleaner on visitors.
There you see.
Vince has it. What are you
Yeah.
saying, Alan?
Vince has it in the bag. Except it's got red eyes and Ginrin, so it's
I think ours is categoried better. The Sumi's better as well.
Vince wins because he's got
Joked
red
it, guys.
eyes and Ginrin. Alan doesn't win because
I want to
This
place
is
an
actually,
objection.
Beko.
You wouldn't win a show with it though, Vince. Not in the Beko category.
no. It's died.
Can you not see that no more?
Yeah. Side by side comparison, dude.
Yeah, sweet. There you go then. Right.
I think we've got
Call
too
it,
much going on,
gentlemen.
guys. Choked it, mate. Vince.
What can I say?
Let
Cheers,
the comments
Brad.
do the talking.
You have to humbly accept.
Congratulations, Vince. This week you managed to win with one of your own fish. Because last week you went to
By
one that
default.
wasn't your fish. Right then. Anybody else got any more questions they would like to ask this evening? Yeah, Alan's did look nice, and I agree. It did need to, I mean, to say as a koi judge, that wasn't very well presented, Alan.
No.
That's right, mate. Oh, that picture was shit.
Right, so next week's koi appreciation is any utsuri.
Any Utsuri will do.
Can I enter that one?
Yeah, no, it's not yours. If it's yours, then yeah.
Good call.
Any
So any utsuri for next week, guys?
Oh, I've got a few of them.
I got one.
I've got a few.
Can we
of them.
limit?
One
Can we
recently
limit Daz to
printed.
like one or two?
That's,
Yeah,
that's
limit
so-
them. How
yeah. I've only got two anyway, Ricky.
many?
Yeah, just two.
So ki utsuri, utsuri, hi utsuri, shuri utsuri.
Oh, no, I've got three. Damn it.
Yeah,
What
I've
about
got.
Kinky Utsuri?
Not sure I'm
Kinky
going to catch
Utsuri,
that
right, yeah.
Kiyachiri.
Shiro
Kinky
Utsuri.
I haven't got any kinky ones, no.
Any type of
Your
This-
Kim Utsuri, mate. Vince. Nice fish that was.
What's the brown one? Is it
Char Utsuri.
Char Utsuri?
Yeah, they're
I
bad.
never know.
I bet if
What is that? They're bad.
I bet if I
Banned.
manage
What
to catch
would be
that,
the blue
Don't be banned just because I've got one and you haven't.
I bet if
Yeah.
I manage to catch that
If
Kiyachiri
we
out my
can.
pond, you'll say it's a Key Becco.
And if we can, ideally in a blue bowl. Doesn't have to be a blue bowl, but if it could be in a bowl, it's way more easy to look at.
It could be Dino's blue dustbin.
lid.
Bait bucket.
Yeah, Dino, Dino.
In the
man,
dark.
It's a Poundland or Mataland, so anywhere where they sell plastic boxes, man. So when you put your fish in, it's not just in a little tub.
How about a
You
blue
get some better
plastic
look at it,
straw?
mate. Just nice, get to see the fish better.
Blue
At least
plastic
he
gardening
upgraded from the
jug.
bait bucket to the blue dustbin.
I agree with that, Mr. Tropical Koi. I
Yes,
agree with
Chris. Yeah, mate. He and key and our metallics included. Yeah, any type of Utsuri.
Mr. T, shut your face.
Just gives more people more options of sharing the fish, that's all.
May you be forever constipated and your next ship be a spiny anteater.
Nice.
That's a bit harsh.
Vince was gutted.
At least it wasn't a hedgehog, I suppose.
Yeah, that is a nice one. Yeah, make sure you stick that in a bowl for next week, Mike. That's a nice fish. Any chance of an answer regarding my question?
that. Here we go
Did
again.
you type in capital letters?
Here we go again.
Because 90% of the questions that were put in there tonight, that just said question at the front of it. Hang about, there you go, there's one.
Mr. Tropical Koi, Chris.
How much is Crafty banging blue balls out for?
20% off this week, wasn't it, Crafty?
Yeah, 20% off those, mate. Yeah.
Yes. Good
20%
guess.
off them. If you go online, I'll give you 10% off. I'm going to enter that one.
As long as it's out of your bowl, out of your pond, that's all good.
It's all
If
in my
that's out
shop,
of
mate.
your shop,
It's not out my shop. I wouldn't do
that's
that.
all.
They buy them blue bowls in for a tenner, I reckon.
Fucking dope, mate.
What was your? Right, let me just. I mean, when somebody, you got to remember, guys, when we're doing this live show, there are 400 or 500 messages being popped in, and somebody says, "Any chance of answering my question?" It would have been easy just to write the question again, and then I would have known. But
In
where
capital.
did you put your question, mate? Did you put your question in here tonight, or is it on Facebook and I've missed it? Let me know, bud, and I will do my best to find your question.
I'm intrigued now. It better be a good question.
Yeah.
We're waiting in silence for it. Can I do one of each type of it, sir?
Oh, hang about it. It might be on Facebook, that. Mr. Tate says, Mr. Tate,
How are you expected to monitor Facebook as well while you're doing this, though, Gaz?
This is it, mate.
It's
As soon
minions
as
for-
everyone cheats, another Becco. He sent me a Kajaku. Oh, dear. Right, let's see if we can find it.
Alan's got a lot of Shearer Siri, and he should send in a good picture next time.
Yeah.
You don't
Craft, if
catch
you
them
send him a
first.
bowl,
Right.
Mate, you need to send him a UV first. And if you
That
ain't
way-
got any heat stories or any other sort of it story, we sell loads at the shop. 30% off livestock this weekend.
13%.
Down, 30 for the livestock.
30.
Oh, Jesus.
Carlos, what was your question? My question was being. My question was being sending
Been sending
pics.
pic, but not putting them on. It's been sending a picture.
He sent his Becco in, and we're not seeing it.
All right, so we've missed
What
one.
format does he use, though?
Have you sent? Wait, you sent it in onto the Facebook group? Yeah. Because I could have.
Oh, we
Recent
can't.
media.
If it's a good one, it'd be crack. Vince might lose his crown.
Yeah, that'd be
Gary Rowland sent one in, but sold as a Becco, but it's definitely not because it's got red on its head.
What's on your T-shirt there, Vince?
It says, "Eat, sleep, koi."
I could only see like 2 fish on that last bit.
I mean, if it makes it easier for people, when I put in what topics would you like to discuss, and don't forget to share your pictures of the fish, stick them in the topic. I mean, you can put in a question and the picture of your fish. Then when I go down to look for it, I can put it in. Probably wrong fish been 2 weeks now, right? So if I go through the fish that you sent in, 1 sec, mate. Well, show them anyway, mate, just so you don't feel.
Find 'em.
Right, this one. That's why, mate, because it's beyond. Sorry, hang about.
Oh, Gaz.
It's a nice fish,
Yeah.
this, Vince.
Yeah, mate, it's a banger. It's a
Oh,
95 cm. Oh,
There we go.
to be honest,
Sorry, mate. It was because you sent it in so early, and I didn't go that far in photos. My apologies, bud.
he's out trumped me there. It's a Kin Key Becco.
Interesting.
Oh,
that's a different one, isn't it?
that's a different
Yeah.
fish. But that's nice. That one.
You sure that's not King Kiyosuri? Because that band's around the back end.
One of the pictures is the other one in.
That one is.
That's probably at Surrey. But that
There's
first
a video here. There we go. Yeah.
That's an Atsuri.
yeah, it's quite a fine line on that one.
Are we saying that's better than a Vince fish?
It's not better than Vince's, no, but it's pretty good. But it also could qualify for next week because
I'd put it
I would
next
say
week.
that's more
personally.
Atsuri than it is Becco, personally.
That's
Because-
it. You've got
Because of the way
next
that Tsumi's banding round the body.
only a bit down the back end. I tell you what, that's a fine line. I reckon you can enter that twice, mate.
Yeah.
This week and next week.
This week and next week. There you go. It's a double bubble.
Well, at least you haven't got to catch it again.
That was definitely like Gimrin Hiatsuri.
Esque.
That's it.
Looks like it's been in Tony's pond, that one, doesn't it? It's been eating all the guys.
So we're still saying Vince is the winner, and I apologise, Carlos. That's my mistake, mate, because you did send him in early. You was probably one of the first ones to send it in.
That's
But yeah,
definitely
they could both go in next week as well, to be fair.
No, you're not mourning, mate, at all. I just didn't go far enough. There was like 6 posts before after yours. But yeah, to make it easier for me, when I put in on the Facebook group, because you can add a photo there as well, add your photos into the actual thingy. If that goes for everybody, if you want to upload your pictures in, if you want to send them in through Messenger like they are, that's fine because I get them as an individual message and they don't get lost on the website. But yeah, when I post in for the topics next week, obviously you won't be able to do it on Facebook, on YouTube, but on Facebook you will. Stick in your comments if you've got any questions you want to ask, and also post your pictures of your fish in that actual subcategory. And then I won't have to chase through all the pictures to find them. There we go.
Sweet. Well done, Vince. You're still winner.
Carlos takes a second.
Only just.
Or does Alan take the second and Carlos takes the third?
Alan second.
Yeah.
Alan second, Carlos third. There we go.
If we could see
You
Alan's
got a third
fish.
place.
Yeah. Alan's could be
There
a
we
nice
go.
fish. You can see it, can you?
Amanda Smith. Sodium thiosulfate. Do you dose the whole pond or just the water the whole pond?
Yeah,
Oh,
And there's another thing with it and all, you can't overdose with it either.
No.
But you can mix it up into a bottle and make yourself a couple of litres of it and then just add it through.
There you go. That was quick and easy, wasn't it?
Yeah, you can either add it in the crystal form straight to the water or you can dilute it and mix it into a mix. Chris Taylor says so. 7 for me next. Sweet. Good. Good, mate. I enjoy looking at everybody else's fish. It's nice. It's nice to see what people have got in the ponds and what they've got stocked. So yeah,
You've got
sweet.
7.
If you've got 7 different ones, let's not have 7 pictures of the same one, but 7 pictures of 7 different ones. That'd be sweet.
Don't know if I can fucking manage it, mate.
We'll be in it for a while. Get yours in early, Crafty.
Mate, my Shiro not seen the net for over a year.
Well, but you just showed you're going to put a Heat Suri in, you said?
No, I'm on about me Shiro at Sori, mate.
You're putting them all on now.
I've got a nice DK lineage one in the pond.
Have we done an Achiba? No, we haven't. We haven't done an Achiba yet. No,
Should.
we need somebody to come on. The idea is this is because this is for you guys, just for you guys to come on and show your fish. The idea is that people come on and jump in the chat and pick a fish that they would like to show. Then encourages other people to show their fish of the same type and variety. So
Yeah. I might put a big one on next week.
should have entered the second picture, but a bit of a stretch for Rebecca. Just a bit. That's his.
Can we see his Kajaku then? Or is
Yeah.
he hidden?
No,
Just
no,
so-
it's,
We haven't done Kajaku either, have we?
no, that's not been done yet either.
Alan's already has tipped his hat.
Oh, I love a
That's
Kajaki.
a beautiful Becco.
Yeah. Best who I've ever seen.
Oh, fucking hell, that's- yeah, it's lovely, Becca, that Alan. Are
old's
you
that
colourblind
fish,
as well, Al?
Mate, that's
No,
got to be 30-year-old, that fucking picture, Al.
What I don't get, right? If his pond water's that colour, how the hell's he catching them?
But to
He's got
Aaron, that
staff
would look
to
like
do that
Becco.
for, isn't it?
Well, he gets his butler in there to chase it round.
Guys, zoom down onto that honeycomb, mate.
We should be able to. Oh,
Good job he lifted it out of the water, because if it was dropped
You
in the
wouldn't
water,
seen it
you'd
in there,
see
would you?
we can't do a zoom.
Oh, that's a shame.
Oh, hang about. We might be able to.
Well, I can.
Yes. No, that's the maximum we can do. I can zoom the. It doesn't zoom the picture, it just zooms the rest of the screen.
Oh,
That's it, unfortunately. That's as large as it goes.
you know something? See that on there on the Kajaku, the honeycomb effect where the Fukrin comes over? That's what got me hooked into koi. I see the bollocks of one at a show, and that was me proper that effect there on a koi is the nuts.
And have you got a good one?
Mm.
Yeah. Oh, the Kajaku's on now.
Right, somebody knows. Somebody needs to come on and pick a fish because we're going to need a new one. How many more have we got left, Vic? Some green
Easy
water, he says.
ponds into
Easy,
that.
10 bats, empty ponds into bats, then catch them.
That's not easy, Al. That's fucking hard rough, man. Nah.
Pump the whole pond down.
That's what I've got to do soon.
I'll give one of my lads. I'll give one of my lads at the shop. We from the show pond, like the outside pond, the big one that's been drained down now. We'd netted that out and had probably about 400 rudd and put them into one of the black vats. And I said to him, right, I want all them fucking catching out of there. He was there all day trying to catch rudd that he couldn't see. And then I come over, I was like that, look, drained it down to like an inch of water. Why did that take you all day? I've been fucking there all day trying to catch them. You can't see them, they're only this big, isn't it? But it's fucking brilliant, man. Just watching it. He'll always remember now to drain the pond down. Always.
Imagine paying the staff all day just to laugh at him.
Oh, but it was great, mate. Good fun. You know, watching him like pull one out at a time when there's hundreds in there. It was fucking brilliant.
Mr. Tropical Koi says, Crafty. Me too, Crafty. Love a good fookering.
I don't mind a good fookering.
Right, apparently next week is the Utsuris of all types, and that is the last fish that we have picked. So if anybody would like to pick a fish, click on, come on, shout your fish out, and then we've got some for next week too. Or if you're all...
Alan's on, wait for Alan to pop up. Kajaku! Kajaku!
I'll have to buy one if he does.
Yeah, me too.
I've got a couple, not many though, so you got to be quick.
Benny Ginger will probably get you through, mate. No
Alan,
one knows.
I mean,
No, it won't.
Benny, my Benny Ginger would. Nah, I won't get through as a Kajaku.
I've got about 20, but they're about that big. I don't think they'd be worth photographing.
I've got a Benny Ginger at the shop that's got like black rings round its eyes. It looks it'd fly.
How about then, right? How about I make a choice? How about we do next week is the all types of Utsuri. The week after the Kajaku. The week after that, we shall do as Autumn Leaf, which is Chiba. And then the week after that, all types of Weird and Wonderful.
Oh, shit.
You get one go, not three.
Well, nobody else is going to come. It's not like, well, all right, then. I shall pick next week's after the Utsuri, Kajaku the following. Rick, pick a fish for the week after.
I'm in France fishing, mate. I don't care.
There you go, see.
I'll pick one for the week after.
You pick the week.
Achiever.
Yes, Achiever, right. Right. So what about the week after? Tony, pick a fish for the week after.
Oh, I was in agreement with Crafty there with Ochiba.
Can't I pick one?
Rashagoy.
How about the Weird and Wonderful? How about that for a suggestion?
Nice plug-in, Gaz.
Let's go for the Weird and Wonderful.
The Weird and Wonderful. Right, Vince. The week after that. Vince, the week after that.
We haven't had Shui yet, have we?
No, we haven't. We haven't had no budgies have been on the show yet.
We had bluefish, and I put a shishui in and got shot down.
Yeah, because it was a shisui, not a blue fish.
But shisui, you can get blue fish from shisui.
Yeah, but he put an orange one on with a tiny bit
Shall
of blue.
I tell you what we haven't actually had
just
yet?
a little bit on it, Rick.
Go on, Dan.
We haven't had Kahaku.
That's true. We
You're
haven't.
fucking kidding me, right?
No, we haven't had
No.
Kahaku. No, we haven't.
Yeah, we've been
that's
trying
surprising.
to stay away from the fucking ghost tank.
Right, so go on, Daz, what are you picking?
Kahaku.
Kahaku. Right.
Dos
So the week
fishes
after that
Kahaku.
is Kahaku, and Vince is going to go with Shuramuji.
Yeah, go on, Vince. You know you've got one somewhere.
That is the only one that's got a Shuramuji.
I'll lend you one.
You're right.
I've seen a Shiramuji being sold on an auction from as a Shiramuji from one of the best koi breeders in the world.
And he couldn't believe it.
I couldn't fucking believe it, mate.
No.
Can you not think of one, Vince?
British bred.
British bred Shiramuji. Daz, you are.
I was way ahead of my field. You're all laughing at me, but it's
No
the
one's
future.
laughing about you, Daz.
Put Vince on. Has anybody ever known Vince to be silenced? All you have to ask him is to pick a coin,
Yeah.
and he has not.
I'm trying to go through what we've done before already. Your dad is right. You know,
You
all
could
these
just do Vince.
done it.
Any Ginrin?
Magoy?
Ginrin. You could do Ginrins, mate. You got a nice Ginrin Sorogoi. Ginrins.
Yeah, Ginrins. Anything Ginrin.
Gaz, I can do it too. That brain. You got
Right. I'll have to watch this back to remember which was what. Right. So next week, all types of Atsura. Week after, God damn it, forgotten already. Kahaku. Kajaku. Week after that is Achiever. Week after that is Kahaku.
No, it's not. Tony.
No, it's Tony
No,
with the weird and wonderful.
Tony's Weird and Wonderful. The week after that then is Daz's Kahaku. And the week after that then is Vince's any
Ginrin.
type of Ginrin, which leaves Rick to pick one after that.
Ooh.
Got to be Christmas then, isn't it? Surely.
What about Goshki?
We done Goshki.
Oh, I got a real nice one if you pick that one. Yeah.
Ooh. I don't know. Should come back to it. We don't need them all now, do we?
Ricky.
Oh, we'll do Goshki then. We've all done it.
There we go. So we have 6 fish picked for the next 6 weeks. In fact, one that's already booked, so that's 7 weeks. 7 weeks on trot.
That is
Yellow
fun.
Hornets.
Then it's Christmas.
Then it's Christmas. Yeah, pretty much. And then it'll be we'll be having a look at your baubles instead. Bauble appreciation.
And I keep my bauble screwed very neatly. Thank you very much.
Oh,
There you
I'll
go.
tell you what will happen
There
then, Gaz. It'll be Yamatinishki time, won't it? Judging.
Yes, it will.
Oh, yeah.
November.
Unfortunately, I'm out of that race, mate.
Oh, no.
I don't know
When?
where mine's gone. It's gone.
Vic's
It's
got it all.
Gone.
Don't give up on it yet, Gaz.
I-
It might turn up tomorrow.
It might do, but I'll be, yeah.
That big grey bird that's been walking around.
I think so, mate. Yeah. Thank you, Vic. Nice one. Yeah, I've got a sneaky suspicion, mate, that it's the fish have been acting over these last couple of weeks. Anything that flies over or anything goes over top, they're proper skittish and proper diving under lilies. And they were a massive, great big pile, and like this sort of diameter, right on corner of my fence where the bush is in the corner. They were a massive, great big shit, and it was huge. And I spotted it because Doc went over there, and I thought, my God, what the hell's that? It was like a fucking pterodactyls just shit in my garden. And now since then, I haven't seen it.
Well,
I
if
think
many
we can
more
all
people,
say where it's gone.
if many more
Well-
people lose them, I'm going to win by default, aren't I?
Yeah, I'm gutted, mate, because it was a nice fish as well. Good stuff.
I
That's
don't
don't know.
think so.
There is a chance.
Touch wood.
There is a chance it could be behind the bigger patch.
They're good at
of
hiding.
plants.
Well.
It could be behind there and hiding around back of that. But I haven't seen it in 7 days, and I've spent hours out there this week. Absolutely hours and hours and hours just watching pond, doing bits in garden. I've not seen it once.
You know what it is? It's because it's not your pond's not used to having you around 24/7. You scared the shit out of the pond yourself by being there.
I scared shit out of them today when I was stood in it. Chag was sucking on my leg, man. That proper freaked me out. Come up to the
You
side
liked
of me,
it, really?
it sucked on my leg. Man, I thought, what the? I looked and then just Chag just swam off.
I've just been given a sneak peek of what Al's sending you in next week, mate.
We've already seen it.
Or we can no, next week's one, man.
Next week's one is he at Suri's or any type of Atsuri.
I know he's just sent me a picture of what he's sending you.
I hope he's got some clearer water because it'll get ruled out for green.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was it.
I should be able to,
now.
pause that later on and watch it back.
Yes. And zoom in.
Right, then, guys. Thank you all. Oh, look at that, man. God damn.
Should we change it? Let's not do it next week.
That was nice.
We'll have to find a way to disqualify him somehow.
Well, we just don't do it Suri next week.
Swap it around.
Yeah. All judges are disqualified.
Yes.
Small print.
Well,
Massive thank you.
considering it, he's got a lake full of fucking Itsuris. He hasn't got really much.
He should have a good one, shouldn't he, really?
Yeah.
It's been his favourite fish and all, and a lake full of them.
Can't blame him.
No.
Yeah.
Gonna have to come up and have a nosy at that one day, Alan, if you wouldn't mind. Bring the GKP up and have a look at the lake. Just invite myself.
Mate,
Just invite myself. Cheers, mate.
Do you think he'd let us bring the fishing rods?
I was going to say, did they respond well to hair rigs, Alan?
Aaron Boltrick.
Right,
Ricky's
guys,
lit,
I would
though.
like to
Do they,
say, first of all, a massive thank you for everybody that's joined us this evening. Thank you very much for all the new subscribers that I have had, over 113 in the last 20 odd days or so, which is greatly appreciated. Usual thing.
Hang on.
Thank you very much.
Gaz, hang on.
Oh,
Well,
Don't forget, if you haven't subbed to Gaz's channel, get subbed.
thank you very much, mate. Appreciate that.
And before you fuck off tonight, hit the like button, guys.
unless you didn't like it, and then hit the.
Unless you didn't like it, but then you could hit the thumbs down, but nobody gets to see that. So.
Whose team are you on?
I'm just neutral, aren't I?
Well, that's it.
You could always sub a lesser channel.
You could. Is there one?
They could. You could always sub a lesser channel like Tony's Farm O'Coy, or Farm O'Coy, Humber Coy, Jigs' Mountain View, Bubble and Fins,
Or
Will's
Crafty
Coy.
Coy.
Don't
Thank
forget
God I
Will.
haven't got a channel.
Up North Coy,
Big boy.
Crafty Coy, Twisted Ones,
Can you just like do a group button?
New Forest Coy.
Do a group button.
Just do a group one, yeah. Select all.
Don't forget Will's Koi.
Oh, yeah,
And
don't forget
Will's
Will's
Koi,
Coy.
yeah.
Bonsai.
You know, you can't forget my man Will.
No.
Yeah, 100%.
And
I
don't
can.
forget, I've got a sale on at the weekend.
And don't forget, Crafty has a sale on this weekend, guys. 35% off with the GKP discount code.
I'll send you the bill, mate.
Oh, shit.
Yes.
Usual
Is it
thing, guys. If you've been enjoying this kind of content, go on, Rick. What you were going to say something?
Is it just the weekend?
Just
Just
the
the
weekend.
weekend.
Mate.
Not the whole month?
No.
No.
Or the year.
Trying to bankrupt him.
Yeah, bankrupt me with just a weekend, never mind a month.
Okay,
As I was going to say, usual thing, guys. If you've enjoyed this kind of content, do us a huge favour. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend. And until next week, guys,
Keep smiling.
yes, catch you on the next one. Take it easy. all. Good night.
At Surrey time.